Hey, Jeff Justice here with Jeff Justice Seminars for Court Reporters. I want to thank you so much for deciding to choose us to get your online CEUs with. We promise not to disappoint you. We provide laugh-packed, content-rich seminars so that you can get your CEUs from the comfort of your own home or office. So basically, you're going to watch the videos as you do, print out the PDFs for the quizzes, answer the questions as you go along. At the end of the whole seminar, so if you're taking a 10-hour seminar after you finish all the sections, email me all of your answers. I will grade them and get you back your letter of completion for your state, and if you're an RPR, the proper forms for NCRA. So get ready to laugh and learn with Jeff Justice Seminars for Court Reporters. All right, and boy, how many people have heard of Anita Paul before? Okay. So you probably know Anita from the world of real time. I always refer to her as the queen of real time. I mean, if you want to know real time, this is the lady to go study with, whether it's on a personal basis or some of her 3-day, 4-day seminars. You still do the cruises?
No.
No, she used to do cruises. It would have been
15
fun.
years.
Yeah, but they get crazy to do after a while. We got some seats up here and stuff. Okay, so grab some coffee. And but she's also a professional speaker. Both Anita and I belong to the National Speakers Association. And she does programs all over the country on dealing with difficult people, peak performance, things like that. So she's going to be combining some of that information here today on peak performance and shortcuts. Can anybody use good shortcuts for writing? Right? And hopefully you'll be sharing some of your favorites that you use too. And Anita will also be going to noon today. So at noon you're done. So
yes.
It's a 2-hour program. She's out of here. I really don't want to waste any of her time. I could go on and on about the credits that she has. But 40 years now, right?
40th year.
40th year reporting?
I started when I was 2. And if you're doing the math, don't.
If you want to stay on a good side, don't do the math. Okay?
It isn't that.
Can we move this back a little for you?
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Looks like it's cramping you.
It's all right. As long as it's in the video.
Okay, I'll check that. So, nice round of applause for Anita Paul. Come on down, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Hello?
Hello.
All right, now, that was okay. But I want to tell you something. The way our brains work. When you give a rousing hello, it can be huge. How are you today?
Great.
Hey, I heard a great and a woo. Excellent, you're getting the idea. It actually does change the chemical balance of our bodies and create an incredible energy the way our brains work. And if somebody were to say to me, hello Anita, how are you today? And I say, fantastic. There's a difference in the whole energy field that we generate. And if we were to say fantastic or fabulous or wonderful, it's different than fine. So let's try it. How are you today? Okay, and I hope that feels good to you. Does everybody have a handout? Does anybody need one? That's a better question. I have an extra, that's why I'm asking. Aha, I knew I'd have a tape.
Anybody need a handout?
That's all right. Listen, we know that, we know there was traffic, and we are delighted that you're here. In my opinion, the most important thing is safe and sound. And if somebody walks in late, they're safe and sound, that's great. We have to be on time for most things all of our lives, especially going to the doctor, so you get to wait in the waiting room for 55 minutes. But that's the life. That's the life. And perhaps the secret to life is having a great either audio to listen to or a book to read, or sometimes they'll have a little television in that office or waiting room, and we can amuse ourselves joyfully because it's always easy to complain. It's always easy to go, oh, that's a habit of many people. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Okay, peak performance under pressure. How many of you have taken a certification test or some kind of a writing test and you did not pass? Okay, How many of you folks have taken a certification test or a writing test and you've always passed? Okay, how many of you refuse to raise your hands no matter what I ask you? All right, let's try one more time. How many of you have taken a test at some point in your court reporting career and you did not pass? May I see your hands? Thank you. How many of you tend to get nervous? Good morning, welcome. We're delighted you're here and we have plenty of seats. Okay. Let's go to our first page here that starts with 3 essential strategies for mastery under stress. In order to generate and create amazing and effective performance, we must control and generate great energy, and the single greatest thing that athletes generally master. I'm not going to say all because there's the John McEnroe of the world and others, but who thinks they know what number 2 is, but besides the word energy? Anybody guess? EC?
Emotion.
Excellence is a great answer. It's not the right one, but it is an excellent answer. Okay, it's emotional control. Okay. Thinking and operating in the present. What does that mean? Well, just this morning, I was with a dear friend who drove me here this morning. She was telling me that in her business, when she had a very negative person who affected her business, and she lost a lot of business and needed to revamp and get that negative person out of her life because her business had been growing very well and it tanked and she had to practically start all over again. And she said to me, oh, sometimes I think back and I just feel so bad about all the work I did do, how it did grow, and how I've lost it. And I told her that that thinking has got to stop. I understand it. You have gone through whatever disappointment and readjusting that you needed to do in life. I mean, that's the life. And if you ever experience that, wonderful. That's part of the life that we live. And we're learning as we get older that life is filled with lessons, experiences, good, bad. Hopefully we grow and learn from them. Hopefully we don't repeat the same mistakes twice, although sometimes we do. You know how they say if you get married and divorced, you find another person, same problems, and you get divorced again. Then you find another person, same problems, and you get divorced again. When do you get it that there's a little problem with your selection or your thinking process? I told her the next time that those thoughts come into her mind, try a couple of things. Number 1, you just do cancel, cancel. Cancel, cancel. Thoughts are gone. Go back to the moment. Where are we right this moment? And she's got a fabulous life. She's got a beautiful husband and 2 little children. I have never seen such well-behaved, precious, quality, wonderful children who are healthy. You go back to the moment and start your blessings and your gratitude thinking, even if it takes 5 seconds. And I said, the past is the past. You've dealt with it. You've moved on. You're doing great today. And it doesn't serve your highest good to go back to that. So that's why we say thinking and operating in the present. It isn't only just in general life, but during a test, this is the key. Because what happens is, and I'm sure you can relate, you're taking a speed test or a certification test or the CRR or the RPR or whatever it is, maybe the RMR. You're all Texas CSRs, is that correct? Okay, so you're taking the test, you've worked hard, you've done all the things to get to that point, and you're writing it and you're listening, and, right? I'm getting it. And what happens when your mind goes to, I'm getting it? You drop. I don't know if you're like me. My fingers would turn to lead. They wouldn't move. They would stop moving. They would turn to lead, and I wouldn't drop a couple of words. I wouldn't even drop a sentence. I would drop 2 to 3 sentences. I made sure I failed. Why? I have no idea. I didn't know back then. I know a little more today. But when I knew that I failed the test, then what happens? You start writing. Perfect. You complete the test. What happens physically, emotionally, and mentally? Choking on a test. One of the things that happens is we go to the future in our minds. I'm getting it, thought process, is moving to the future. Does that serve our highest good? Not really. So when you go to the future, you're not staying in the moment. And the key is to stay in the moment. How about the thought process, oh, I've taken this test 4 times. I'll never pass it. Oh, there's great self-talk. And what is your self-talk like? During a test? During life in general? It's something to observe and to watch. It's very powerful. And some of you might not believe that, and that's great. It's not about agreeing with me, or when I say something, you think that's the truth. I'm going to share with you my truths. I'm going to share with you my research and what I have learned through the years. And I've read a lot of books. And I'm also going to give you some books that I think are magnificent as references. And if you like them, just jot them down. In this day and age, I don't know if you're like me, but I hear a good book, I just go to Amazon, find a used copy, 99 cents, right? $4 to send it, but that's all right. They can charge more for the shipping, I don't mind. But we have access to reading material like nobody ever has had in history. And it's just, I don't know about you, but to me it's amazing. I have hundreds of books on my Kindle and I absolutely love it. So I'll come up with my first recommendation. It's one of my favorite books, and the name of it is called The 4 Agreements. How many of you have read The 4 Agreements? What? Did you like it?
I loved it.
You loved it. I asked this question in my different seminars. I always get a couple of hands that will go up, 1 or 2 or 3. And I've never heard anyone say anything less than I loved it. And one young lady said I read it once a year. It's a fabulous little book, quick read, inexpensive. To me, this is a no-brainer. It's by Don Miguel Ruiz, R-U-I-Z. We always want to know how do you spell it, right? It's a little book with great thoughts, and when you live by that, for me, it changed my life. Did you find it very valuable in your life as well? Yes. And I'll share with you the 4 agreements. The reason I'm going to share them with you is that I do not like sitting in a seminar, asking a question or wondering something, and if I were to raise my hand and ask, could you tell us what the 4 agreements are? And then the leader says, get the book. Especially if I wrote it, right? Or they say, oh, that's in the advanced class. When you sign up for the advanced class, you'll get your answers. That bothers me no end. And because I go to seminars and because I experience that, I do my very best to avoid those kinds of conversations in my seminars. Anything you want to know, please raise your hand, ask a question. If I possibly can, I will answer it now. And put your mind to rest to the best of my ability. Anything I'm not sure of, I will defer you to the best source that I know. Obviously, I don't know everything. I am a specialist in a couple of teeny tiny few areas of life that I've done a lot of study in. If you want to know how to write something in real time, ask me. There are many, many, many things I am not a specialist in. But I do know a lot of people who are great in certain categories. And I'm the first one to refer you to the very best possible source. So that brings us to my first request. please ask questions. I love questions, and many people will think about a question and say, I wonder if, oh, I'm going to look so stupid if I ask that question. Folks, the only stupid people are the ones who have a question who don't ask because they're afraid how they're going to look. Some of you do not like public speaking. You don't want to stand up in front of a group and speak. How many of you do not like public speaking? Oh, good. I wanted to know who to call on. Okay. It's a very normal feeling. And you know what? I think I'm even going to talk about... Do you have a pen I could borrow? Anybody? May I? Sure. Yeah. Oh, you're an awful. Thank you. Oh, here's one. Okay. So, I've got a few requests. Number one, ask questions. If you have a question, ask. Raise your hand and ask. How many of you think that when somebody raises a hand and asks a question, they're really dumb and they're really stupid? How many of you think that? Okay. I will control the room. My request will be that if you do ask questions, that's wonderful. If I take a question and we get talking about it and it ends up taking a little bit longer than planned, because we do plan time for Q&A, I will defer the conversation to a break or the end of the presentation, and we will pick it up later, time permitting. So please do not take anything personal if there's a need to cut you short on a particular topic, and it's nothing personal. We're going to get to nothing personal in just a moment, aren't we? And your name is? No. Behind you? Your name? You. Yeah, you. No. Yes.
Barb. I'm sorry.
Barb?
Miss Pam.
Pam.
Barb.
Barb.
Barb, yes, ma'am.
Barb. Got it. Okay. So. All right, so here are my requests. Number one, ask questions. You're here to learn. I know, some of you are here for your credits, and you will get them. You're allowed to sleep. You're allowed to put your head down. You're allowed to zone out mentally. One request I do have is no texting. No texting because it could distract the people around you. And I do want to keep an environment that is conducive for learning and enjoying for those around you. And if anybody needs to take a phone call or text something urgent or whatever it is you do, if you have your cell phones or whatever apparatus on vibrate or silent or whatever, you are welcome to walk out of the room quietly at any time. If anyone needs to use the facility, you are absolutely welcome to walk out and use it. And if you notice, it's right across the way. It's very convenient. And of course, there's coffee in the back. I already have a taker. That's good. And that's fine.
I'm an old man.
Not as old as I am. And I know you might be sitting there thinking, gee, I wonder how old she is. And I do that. When I go to seminar, I look at the leader and I go, oh, I wonder how old she is, or I wonder how old he is. I don't know why, we just kind of wonder. You might think you know how old I am because I've been reporting 40 years. I graduated in 1974. Well, don't let that fool you because I started at 30. I am 70. I just turned 70. So, now, that's my truth. I have no problem with that. Just don't ask my weight. I'll guarantee you I will lie. But anyway, okay, let's kind of cover up some of these little bulges, right? Oh, you know what? I kind of let a lot of that go a while back when you always wish you're thin and perfect and looking at all the magazines, everybody's so perfect looking. And I spent about 45 years of energy and thought on that, and I got tired of it. So it doesn't mean that I'm doing great with maintaining a perfect weight, but I'll tell you one thing. My thoughts are exciting and positive and forward-moving and good, and thinking about all the things I can do, thinking about all the things I do, and there are times when I'm in a better zone, and by the way, I have lost weight, but that's not the issue. The issue is how we think. And we started talking about thinking and operating in the present. So number 1, ask questions. Number 2, be open-minded, willing to try new things. Is there anyone in the room who is not open-minded? Is there anybody in the room who does not want to try anything new? Fantastic, because especially when we get to writing shortcuts, you might hear the odd new thing. You might also say to yourself, oh, I could never do that. Oh, I don't like that. And that's okay, because the beauty of everything that I do is all about free choice. You get to make final choices. And you also get to use common sense, which is not what they teach in court reporting school. Number 3, I'm going to ask that there is no side talking. I have found through the years that when people are whispering to a neighbor and visiting, so often there is such greatness in what they're saying. For example, I do a lot of live hands-on workshops. You might know that, you might not. Has anyone ever been to any of my workshops? Okay, so we do a lot of hands-on live training. 4 days, as a matter of fact, 30 hours in one weekend. And sometimes 2 people are on the same CAD software, and they're whispering, and one of them is showing the other one a great way to accomplish something on the CAD software. And the other person didn't know it. For example, how do you filter? How do you filter out all the acronyms? Or how do you filter out all those suffixes that you want to change? And the other person is whispering to somebody. This is fabulous information for the whole room. So we really tend to not do side talking in the workshops for that reason. But anyway, so that's just a request. Of course, it's very respectful to the people around you. And I know if you go to a movie, you don't want people near you, you know, especially if you can't hear it if it's not interesting. Now, if it's very interesting and it's very gossipy, who knows, that might be cool. But anyway, so those are a few of my requests. And we want you to have a wonderful time. We want you to take notes, jot down thoughts as they come along. And the 4 agreements I have not forgotten. Don Miguel Ruiz talks about number 1, say what you mean what you say. Live your word. Your word is powerful. Your word is tremendous. If you want credibility, if you want people to trust you, live your word. It's amazing how many people don't live their words. My husband hates that phrase, live your word. And he doesn't. And it's okay, because I'm used to him and I know to ignore everything he says. So it works out perfectly. No, but seriously, little things. What time does Cheesecake Factory close? It closes at 10. Okay. Because I know him. I might call him up. Hello, what time do you close? Yeah. Thank you. They close at 11:30. But I don't get angry, and I accept it because I know the way he is. He's not malicious. He doesn't have a mean bone in his body. He's wonderful, and of course, many times he's very accurate. As a matter of fact, he's super smart in many things I don't know anything about. Go get the car done, and they tell you, you know, you need a new timing belt, you need a new hose, and you need a new blah, blah, blah. And I get an estimate on the prices. And if you do it right now today, we're going to give you a very special bargain, and we're going to waive the blah, blah fees, and you get to save $200. Oh, I'm ready to go, right? And my husband will say, nope. We're going to research it with my guy, and usually end up saving many, many hundreds of dollars. So believe me, I respect him, and I love his intelligence. I just know the way he is on little things. But number 1, live your word. Number 2, don't make assumptions. Don't assume. One day I get a phone call, and this is 2004. I get a phone call from my cousin Willie, and guess what? She's from Texas, Corpus Christi. Hi. My nickname is Cottontail, what can I say? Hi, Cottontail. Hi, cousin Willie, how are you? Great, how are you? So, are you going to the wedding? The wedding? Yeah, the wedding. What wedding? Ronnie. That's my brother. I didn't even know he was going with anybody. It turns out, cousin Willie is flying into LA to to go to Ronnie's wedding, cousin Ronnie's wedding. Don't assume. Do I have hurt feelings? Did they ignore me? Did they send an invitation and it got lost in the mail? Are there limits on numbers of people? I don't know, and quite frankly, I don't care. Don't make assumptions. I pick up the phone, I call my brother Ron, and his girlfriend, who I had met a few years ago, answers, Barbara. Hello? Oh, hi, Barbara, it's Anita. By the way, cousin Willie just called me and asked me if I was going to the wedding. And I was so surprised because I didn't know that Ronnie and you were getting married. I'm assuming it's you. She's there at the house, right, answering the phone. She said, yes. I said, listen, either you sent me an invitation and it got lost in the mail, or if you didn't invite me, it's totally okay. I'm fine. No personal bad feeling. But I did want to call and check with you. That's called checking in, getting the truth, doing the best you can to be as pleasant as possible, just in case they chose not to invite me. That's called being assertive. It is not aggressive. It is not passive. It is not a thought process of, they probably don't like me, or I don't know why they wouldn't invite me. Whatever it is we do with our lives. She said, of course we sent you an invitation. Let me double check the address. Turns out they had the wrong address. They took down my new address. It got lost in the abyss of snail mail. How lovely to not go to assumptions. I did not feel bad. They would have felt terrible if they hadn't heard from me. You know, we haven't heard from you, and we know you're pretty prompt at responding, so I'm glad you called. Whatever the comments are. I said I would love to come. Jim and I would love to come. I assumed that my husband is invited, so if he wasn't, I was going to invite him. But of course, a family wedding, he would be invited. So number 2, don't make assumptions. Number 3, don't take it personally. How many times do people say things to you? How many times do you have certain thoughts? Don't take it personally. You don't know what another human being is going through. You don't know why people do what they do, why they say what they say, why they feel what they feel, why they act out what they do. We don't know. Is it because of you? Probably not. When people are under stress, when people are not happy, when people are out of whack, out of balance. Mom just had to be taken to a full care facility, very ill, just got out of the hospital, stressed out, 2,000 pages behind on an expedite, and your kid has the flu. I mean, we don't know what's going on in someone's life. People have car accidents. Oh my goodness, did I just hear a terrible story recently? But people have car accidents, they're in rehab, they're in therapy, they just, oh my gosh. Sometimes their lives are just completely shifted. We don't know what people are going through. Maybe you piss them off. Maybe it is you. But you can still choose not to take it personally. If I say something very rude and nasty to you, and it's not very nice, and I'm telling you not to take it personally, and you just said that right to my face, well, what's going on with that person that they choose to use that kind of language or behavior? And if it is about me, that's their problem. It's definitely not my problem. If I don't give somebody permission to upset me, they will not upset me. If you do not give permission for somebody to upset you, they will not upset you. That's a quote by, anybody know who made that quote? That's exactly right. Exactly. Eleanor Roosevelt. No one can hurt your feelings without your permission. Or expand on it. Nobody can upset me. Nobody can hurt my feelings. Nobody can attack me, etc. And it's wonderful to know that you do have control. Why do I talk about this? Why am I talking about this when we're talking about peak performance? Because these are traits that people have mastered in order to perform at a peak performance level. I happen to love studying Olympic champions, and I've also done a study of tennis champions from the Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy in Florida, Bradenton, Florida, where they did a lot of psychological testing back in, I believe it was 1990. If I'm off by a year or two, forgive me. Gabriela Sabatina, it was January, February, she decided to quit. She quit tennis. She had had it to here. Her life was not comfortable, well-balanced, and happy. And her coach said, Gabriela, do me a favor. Spend a little time with me. Don't leave. I understand. Just don't leave right this minute. And she said, okay. By the way, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not using their exact words. What happened? Her coach took her to the movies. They hung out. She slept till noon. She ate food. She didn't worry about every little thing, from diet to activity to exercise to schedule to whatever it is a super champion does on a daily basis. She quit. She gave up, but she didn't leave. She relaxed. She had fun, went to the beach, started laughing a little bit more, and in about a month or so, picked up a tennis racket, but just to hit balls, just to have a good time. She did not work on her serve. She did not work on her backhand. She simply had a little fun. And as a few weeks rolled by and a few more weeks, they started working on the serve a little bit and just a little bit more. She got back into the swing of it, and in August of 1990 or thereabouts, she won the Women's Worlds. She was back and she was at her peak performance level, and she needed a mental timeout. So what does it really mean to quit? Are we on overload? Are we very, very stressed out? These are things that we must look at. I talk about stress a lot because it is absolutely vital that we take care of ourselves. We all know today that we can get fibromyalgia, or we can get irritable bowel syndrome, or we can get cancer. We can get so many illnesses today. We know that. We know that emotions can cause illness. If you don't believe that, that's great. I have no problem with that. Remember, I said if I say something that does not resonate with you, I'm fine with that. It's not that I'm always right. It's just the compilation of my research and findings throughout the years, and I have a sneaking suspicion most of you believe that as well. We must take care of ourselves emotionally. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but generally speaking, figuratively speaking, how many of you are on overload? How many of you work too hard? You work at a deposition agency and you have too many jobs on the books and you just are having a hard time getting them out. How many? There's the hand. Okay. And you're in court and you're on overload. You've got attorneys who are not cooperative. Your judge, oh man, could I tell you stories about my judge? I was in court for 17 years. I was in the Los Angeles Municipal and Superior Courts. Most of it was criminal. I did do a few civil trials, including in federal court in Los Angeles. But I know the court world. I know what it's like to be an official. And out of 105 judges in our court system, in the municipal court system, I have to tell you, I had respect for 5 of them. So what does that mean? It means I did not respect 100 out of 105 judges. But that's just the way it is. And that was me. That's my experience. And I might continue on that story, or you're welcome to ask questions or offer comments. But I want to get to the 4th agreement. Number 1, live your words. Say what you mean what you say. Number 2, don't make assumptions. Number 3, don't take it personally. I wanted to share one other little thought. My dear friend was married to a young man in Paris, France, for over 20 years. From the moment she got married, her mother-in-law was absolutely mean and horrible to her. She treated her the worst. And my friend is absolutely competent, devoted, gorgeous, sweet, kind to everybody, and extremely talented and successful. Like just this incredible human being. And adored her husband and treated him like a king. Did that stop the mother-in-law from absolutely hating and despising her? No. Probably the mother-in-law had some very serious issues about how can this woman take my place? You know, that was her little boy, even though he's 50, right? So anyway, every time the mother-in-law would call and start in, she'd pick up the phone. Hi. Hi, Mom. And then the mother-in-law starts in on her. Gretchen's answer was always the same. Mom, I'm sorry you're having a bad day and you're not feeling good. Let's talk another time when you feel better. Bye. Same answer every time. She never let it in. Do you have difficult people you deal with? Do you have relatives who really get your goat? No, they don't get your goat. You've given them permission to get your goat. And if you think about it, it's interesting. But Anita, you don't understand. It's my sister. There was nothing I could do about that. That's just how she is. And it's so hurtful the way she is and how she behaves. Really? It's not hurtful to everybody because you take any situation and have two people receiving the exact same information. And this person will say, oh my God, she really hurt my feelings. I can't believe she would say that to me and I'm her sister. After all I've done for her? And on and on and on, the comments that we can come up with to respond to the bad behavior or the bad comments or the nastiness or whatever it is. The next person receiving the exact same information, comments, responses, or whatever can let it roll right off their back like a duck does to water. How can two people respond so differently to the exact same behavior or information? It's because of these individual choices. Your choice can be one of joy and gratitude at the moment. Not gratitude for the bad behavior, but maybe, I don't know, maybe you just won $50 at a little contest thing, or you played Keno. Now, I'm from Vegas, so if I slip in a few little comments on winning, you'll know why. But my point is, we don't have to let it in. We don't have to take things personally. Another person might have a problem. One example to prove this, there are two little children on the playground. They're 5 years old. And little Johnny talks to little Billy. And little Johnny says, your mother's ugly and you're stupid. Does that make little Billy have an ugly mother? Does that make little Billy stupid? Or is it a disturbed, upset child who needs to lash out at another because being unfulfilled and having internal unalignment, perhaps an unhappy home life, and that's that little child's way of coping? You can come up with an answer or decide what you think. But I think you'll all agree that it doesn't make little Billy ugly, and it doesn't make little Billy's mother ugly, or whatever I said. I don't know. That's not the point. My point is, when you look at who is saying what they say and why, we don't have to take it in. We don't have to take it personally. And this goes very, very true at work as well. We all know that there are some people who do not behave properly, especially, no, I don't want to say especially, but just people. We're going to leave it at people. How's that? I'm not going to say attorneys. All right, and the last agreement, the last of the 4 agreements is, and this one is huge. Are you ready? Do your best. Do your best. If you do your very best, you can't do more than that. If you do your very best, you can feel proud and good on the inside. I recently embarked on a whole new project. And it was my first time out on the brand new project. And I'll tell you, it was a speaking project. And I've been speaking for 21 years. I've been running workshops, I've been doing keynotes, I have been doing an awful lot of speaking. Jeff said that, well, we know each other from National Speakers Association, which is a very, very phenomenal national organization. I'm also a member of the International Speakers Association, that federation. And I earned the highest speaking honor that a person can earn. Back in 2007, my certified speaking professional. Took a minimum of 5 years to earn that. And I feel very proud of myself for having that. And I have a lot of experience, and I've had a lot of wonderful feedback for which I'm always blessed. I'm always thankful. I don't take it for granted. Of course, my goal here for you is to all walk away with value. That is my greatest focus. Anyway, when I went on my new project, I bombed. I absolutely bombed. And I had feedback. I learned. I did not do well, but I know one thing. I know I did my best. And when I say to you that I bombed, and I did have negative feedback, and I didn't do certain things to the best of what other people can do, it was my first time. And I'm going out, I've got another, let's see, 25 days on the road doing very similar type things. I'll bet you by the end of that 25th time I'm going to be better. That's called life. You always have to do the first time, don't you? You always have to go through that first experience. Was it comfortable? Absolutely not. Was I proud of myself? Not too. Just a little. Did some people like it? Yes. Don't we tend to focus on what isn't great? You take a test, you got 98. What 2 did I miss? Darn. And I just have to chuckle. Do we ever look at the 98 we got well? And, or correct, I should say. So, you know what? If nothing else, I did my best. I worked hard. I did my very best. I tried, and I know I did some things good. I can talk about how I bombed, and that's even my comfort zone. I say to you, I love your necklace. By the way, I really do, because it is gorgeous with it. You should see this outfit. It's fabulous. And I say to you, I love that necklace. And you say, oh, this, oh, I've had it for so long. What do we do? I've had to practice for years. I am the queen of low self-esteem. I understand low self-esteem and low self-worth very, very well. I've experienced that type of thing throughout my life, and I've constantly grown, and thank goodness today, at the age of 70, I'm a little better than I used to be on my journey. And I've worked hard, and I've done a lot of personal growth and training, and I've stumbled along the way, and it's just called our life path. But I am proud of myself, and all I can tell you is I've practiced a few phrases. Number 1 is thank you. Zip it up. Thank you. Do we own something that's great about ourselves? Are we so quick to put it down? It's so much more comfortable to say, well, you know. And I don't even need to say the words. I don't know how aware you are, but on a scale out of 1 to 100, what percent of our communication is words? What percent of our communications is our tone of voice? And what percent of our communication is visual, our body language? And I will tell you the answer to that. Body language, shrugging shoulders, rolling your eyes, 55%. 55%. What about tone of voice? Did you like that movie? Yeah. Did you like that movie? Yeah. Get the difference? 38% tone of voice. Words, 7%. Just a little tiny thought that our body language tells a lot. So when we shrug our shoulders, oh, I love your outfit, or I love your necklace, or whatever it is, I give you a compliment. Oh, well, thanks. You know, you've just diminished the whole experience. And there's something wonderful about owning your own greatness. Maybe you have had the necklace for 12 years and you always hated it. But you found it and the color kind of went. And, oh, I'll just throw this on. So I love your necklace. You can practice. Thank you. Something like that. Why do I talk about these things? Because they're important. They are important to peak performance. Your self-talk, your self-thoughts are powerful. They're tremendous. And getting back to a test, when you are taking a test and you are writing and you're getting it and you say to yourself, I'm getting it, and you start to get excited if you're like me and your fingers freeze, that kind of thinking is not going to serve your highest good. If you go to that place called I'm getting it, what you want to do is magnify the words. You are writing words. You are writing what you hear. And when you hear a question, where did you go next after the accident? Answer, I went to my cousin's house and then I finally collapsed. Or whatever the questions and answers are, you want to magnify those words. Where did you go next after the accident? Answer, I went to my cousin's house and then whatever it is, you want to focus on the words. When you change your thoughts and you focus on the words, magnify them, make them louder, make them more important, and only focus on the words, you might get back into your normal rhythm. And don't we all love writing normal rhythm? I mean, it is just, it's so cool. Have you ever been asked for a read back and you say to yourself, oh no, I haven't been writing for the last 15 minutes. You don't have a clue what they were talking about. I used to have that experience at times because we're in the zone. Oh, what a place to be. We're in the zone. I'm off to Hawaii planning what I'm going to pack. And then, would you read that back? Right? And then in the olden days, we'd pick up our paper notes, but you folks are all too young for that, right? Some of you remember the old paper notes? Yes. You young folks? This is called paper. I'm just playing with you. But we used to have the paper notes. And it doesn't matter because today we look on our computer screen and we can read our notes on the screen, which I don't know about you, but I always liked the idea of viewing my notes as well as real time. And that way I could read my notes. So when you misstroke something, you have a fighting chance to be able to read through it. We understand that if it's an L and it comes up LG, that we know that we just drag the G, our minds are able to filter out the error and we can make the correct word. So our focus can be the sounds, be staying in the moment, which is key. There are other techniques that we can talk about, what Olympic champions do, and it applies to everybody. Whether they're at the Olympics, whether they are baseball or football players, or like if you're Joe Montana, you're going to dance happily no matter what. You lose the game, you go do a little dance. The guy's amazing. What an energy. And also court reporters who win. Court reporters who are successful. So let's talk about this. You've been practicing, rehearsing, preparing. You now feel very qualified to do a great job, pass that test, ace the performance, presentation, interview. About 2 minutes into the event, you realize you're nailing it. We've already talked about that. Your thoughts slightly jar you from a steady stream of consciousness, and boom, you choke. And we know why you choke. You choke because you just went to the future in your thoughts. What happened physically, emotionally, and mentally? And what can we do about it? We know the answer to that. We can refocus our thinking. We can focus on those words. We can get through a hard spot. Another thing you can do, drop. First of all, you all drop. Everybody drops. You probably drop every day, but you all drop. And I'll tell you that our country's greatest court reporters such as Ed Varela, Melanie Humphrey-Sontag, Dee Bano, Mark Kislingberry, all these superstars, these great, fabulous speed champions, real-time champions. Oh, Laura Brewer from California. You know, she is the worldwide real-time champion. She won that title at Intersteno, international competition. We have these phenomenal people. They all drop every day. Yeah, they do. Every single one of them drop every single day. It doesn't seem right because if you're like me, you have a tendency to think about somebody who's superstar, somebody who's brilliant, somebody who's great. Whatever the definition is, but guess what? That person you might be thinking about, that superstar, is also, are you ready? Human. They also do things that we do. They hurt, they worry, they feel, they get a bad day. Sometimes they get a headache or a tummy ache or whatever. Everybody is human. These superstars have bad days. These superstars do things that are a little less than perfect. It's hard to believe. And how many of you hold yourselves to a level of perfection? I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but there are some of you out there who will not do real time for the outside world. There are some court reporters who will not do real time in front of anybody. When I started my real-time workshops, it was 1993. Do you know how many people had laptop computers in 1993? Not very many. They would come to my workshops, and if they were local enough and could drive to the workshop, they would bring their tower or their big CPU, big heavy computer to put on the floor, and then they would bring a screen. Oh, the screen was great. It was about that wide. And then, of course, it was tiny font. But they would bring it, and they would start to do real-time in my workshop. Some of them had a laptop. And then they came out with a notebook. Wow! Newest technology. Amazing. And they would have a computer and set it up for the workshop. But do you know they would never take a computer like this and put it on their desk in front of attorneys or in front of a courtroom? As a matter of fact, I remember people in my classes raising their hand to share a pearl of wisdom, which I always love to hear. The pearl of wisdom was, go out and buy a notebook tray. Do y'all know what a notebook tray is? If you don't, I'll tell you. It's a little tray that's about the size of a notebook, and it's got the tripod under it. You know, our tripods, our standard little tripods. And then you can make it upper and lower. And instead of putting the notebook here where you're able to see it, they scooch it way down and tuck it under the table. So that when you're writing, you look like this, right? You're writing and looking at the notebook. Oh, but God forbid anybody should see it. Now, I don't know if any of you did that in the olden days or if you're doing it today. But I'm just letting you know that that's what people do, and possibly a few do today. I had one young lady in my real-time workshop. She came for the full 4 days to a real-time mastery workshop. Do you know she's never plugged in? She never knew how to hook up her writer to a computer. She never even plugged in, let alone did real-time. She left my workshop, emailed me. The next week she said, I just want you to know that I did 2 real-time jobs for myself. Now for her this was huge. She brought a computer, hooked up, and viewed the screen on top of the desk and did real-time jobs. She said she loved it. Everything went fine. We think certain things are going to happen. And of course the attorneys are totally oblivious, have no idea what's going on in your mind. How many of you worry that you might have a hard job? You might have technical difficulties with difficult words. It's a patent case. It's a very heavy medical malpractice. Or the terminology, it's foreigners speaking and you can't understand the accents. And if it's in real time, it's not going to look pretty. Anybody ever have that thought process when you're doing real time? Yeah, see, the rest of you aren't raising your hands, but you do. I know you do. A lot of you. Let me ask you, how many of you do not have any of those thought processes? You have no fear of real time. You do what you do. You have a great day, that's it. You have a medium day, that's it. It's difficult, that's it. It's easy, that's it. None of it matters. You are a real-time writer, and you go out and you do your job. How many of you feel that way without the fear attached to it? Raise your hands. Wonderful. Anybody else? I've seen one hand go up with over 40 people in the room. How many of you would like to feel that way doing real time? Okay, I just saw a bunch of hands go up. I saw about 15 hands go up. That means about 35 of you choose to hang on to your stress. I'm sorry, 25 of you. Right? Choose to hang on to your stress and your nervousness, and come on. Stress, stay here. I don't want to get rid of you. You're serving me well. I want stress. I need stress. I don't have enough stress in my life. I don't have problems. And for my body to respond poorly, and for me to get aches and pains because I'm stressed, it's okay. Why are you hanging on to stress? Would everybody stand, please? After this exercise, we're going to take a very short break, a 5-minute break. Okay, I'm going to ask everybody to stand. If you have a problem with what I'm going to ask you to do, don't do it. But if you are okay, then let's all do this together. I'm certainly not looking to harm anybody if you have a bad back or a bad whatever, okay? But I'm going to ask you to take your chair right here near the middle, and I want you to hold it up a minimum of waist level. Just hold it up like this. Take your chair, and if you're home watching this video, you do the same thing. Take the chair and hold it up. Do not lean it against your body. Hold it up. Do you feel it in your arms? Can you feel that you need to have strong arms in order to do this? I want you to continue holding that chair until you have to put it down. Hold it until you have to put it down. And just keep holding it. Just keep holding it. And eventually, at some point, maybe before the end of the day, you will put it down. If it's getting heavy for you, put it down. Again, I'm not looking to harm anybody, and there are times when it's beginning to get a little bit heavy, right? All right, you can all put it down now. You've got the idea. I simply say to all of you, what are you doing, and how long do you choose to hang on to your stress? I'm telling every single one of you, and you can sit down, I'm telling every single one of you that you can put the chair down. That is how easy it is to get over the nervousness of writing real time in front of other people. Isn't that right?
Sometimes I show people my mistakes because they're funny.
Sometimes she shows people her mistakes because they're funny. Way to go, my kind of gal. High five, fist bump, whatever it is people do today.
My notes said the court reporter's over there faking notes.
Would you mind standing just, all right. So say that again.
Instead, it was supposed to say the court reporter's over there taking notes, but it said the court reporter's over there faking notes. And I was thinking, how did they know?
Oh, did you all hear that? That's priceless and it's brilliant. I love it. She was writing what somebody was saying. The court reporter is over there taking notes. She's writing what they say. She missed the word, the letter T. She dragged her P. I'm sorry, that's the P. Yeah, it translated. The court reporter is over there faking notes. And she said, how did they know? Oh, that's wonderful. What a great mistake. Yeah, it's very interesting. I promised you a short break, and I'm going to give it to you. And when we come back, I'm going to share one quick story. But thank you. That was fabulous. And your name is?
Pam.
Pam. Oh, Pam, that's beautiful. But folks, what's the difference between somebody sharing a mistake and having fun with it versus feeling bad? Remember the two people who have a difficult family member. One person gets hurt feelings. One person feels yucky. The other person lets it roll off their back. Folks, we have choices. And I'm just going to offer you all, since you're open-minded, a choice. You see, court reporters think the world revolves around their screen. The minute you walk into a room and you open up your computer screen, everybody in the room is already interested in what's on your screen. Let me tell you something that is not the truth. The attorney is interested in, hopefully, planning whatever that attorney is doing. Are they going to start a line of questioning? Are they going to impeach the witness now? Are they going to talk about these certain questions and answers so that it can be used in closing argument? They're planning their strategy. Or maybe it's a fellow attorney who had a gorgeous girl last night. He's having drinks with her tonight, and all he can think about is where they're going to have their drinks, and he wants to, what's he going to wear, and he's all excited because he's meeting somebody new. But you know what? The errors on your screen is not at the top of their priority list. Oh, Anita, yes it is. No, it isn't. Right? They all have lives. They all have thought processes. Why do we go to this place called, oh my God, I have an error. I love it when I drop. I love it when I have misstrokes. I love it, love it, love it, love it. And I will tell you, I consider myself an excellent real-time court reporter. And my tran rate was very, very high when I was in my day, 99.9% to 100. Many people are. And it's not that I'm so great. It's just that when I was writing real-time every day for a few years, my real-time just got better and better and better. And today, with our CAP software to assist, and I have wonderful features that even help us better, I did develop a great skill. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm telling you, one of the things that I've done is redefined all my misstrokes. It's called cheating. And I will show you a little bit of cheating when we get back. But it doesn't mean that I write beautifully. And there were many, and when I started out, I was not a good real-time writer. But I will tell you that on the bad days, on the technical days, I love it. If I drop, I love it. Why would I love it? Because if anybody is reading the screen, which they aren't, but you think they are, but if anybody is reading the screen, they get to see what kind of a record they are making with the way they mumble, with the way they garbage talk, with the way they talk on top of each other, with the way they talk too fast. Anybody ever have an attorney or a judge who talks too fast?
Exactly.
You know what one court reporter said? Counsel, I write 240 words a minute. You're going 340 words a minute. Which 100 words would you like me to leave out? Isn't that fun? But if my record's not clear, it's not because of me. I am a quality court reporter. Can you answer this question? Are you a competent court reporter? Can you answer it? Yes. Raise your hand. Are you a competent court reporter? Thank you. If you say to yourself, I am competent, then anything that they do is beyond a normal skill level. Of course you're not going to get it. Nobody does. All of those great court reporters that I mentioned, excuse me, all of those great court reporters who I mentioned, working on good English, right? They don't get every word. They can't. You cannot write a word if you don't hear it. If somebody is mumbling, you don't get it. Is that your fault? Absolutely not. It's because that's how your ears work, and they are not speaking for the record. If anybody's talking too fast, you will not get every word. Of course not. Nobody does. Even the speed champions, they don't get every word. If the person speaking is not speaking for the record and they are going way too fast, their words are not recorded properly. Of course. And don't take it personally. Why are you sweating it? Why are you fretting it? And the third thing is, if they are talking on top of each other, of course you don't get every word. You can't write two people talking, or three. Sometimes I'll say to an attorney, you know, you're writing, excuse me, please speak one at a time for the record. Go back to writing. You know what they do. They ignore you, and they keep going, right? Second time, if I know the attorneys, if I'm comfortable, maybe it's a depo or whatever, depending on the environment, I will speak professionally and to the best of my ability in the right environment. But if I know them and I'm friendly and kind of having a good day, and we're having a little bit of good rapport and all that, I might be writing in something like, excuse me, counsel, some people think if they speak the loudest, those words are reflected on the record. That is not how I report. I write, the cutest attorney. Give him a little food for thought. If you can interject a little humor when something is difficult, that's a wonderful thing to do. But of course you're not going to write them all. By the way, what I do is the third time, I stand up and I say, I will not interrupt these proceedings again if it has to do with people talking on top of each other. Everyone is on notice, and this record is created to the best of my ability. If anyone has an objection, please speak up now. Pause. I sit down, and I then interject my comments into the record to reflect there's a problem. And there's a reason why I do that. Anybody know why? Pardon?
CYA.
That's right, CYA, I love it, absolutely. And I also do it for a personal reason. My goal at the end of every day is to have a happy day. I want to have a happy day. I want to do the things that are going to make me feel good, because I know how important it is to not constantly build that stress and tension that can lead to cancer and whatever else we're dealing with in this day and age. That's important to me. It should be important to you. If I want to have a happy day, I am not going to sit and write all day, interrupting, everybody gets irritated when you interrupt. People don't like to be interrupted. And I'm writing and I'm interrupting, I can't get the record. I can't get a clear record because they keep talking on top of each other. And I tell them, stop that. And they keep doing it. And then I do it again, please, just one at a time. I can't get all this. And then I'm worried and I'm stressed. No, I choose not to live that way. I announce twice my problem. Some court reporters announce it only once. But I will announce it twice. The third time, I let them know. I'm not going to be a court reporter who interrupts 10 or 15 times a day. Of course I'd have to in order to make a clear record. But I won't do it. Because people hate being interrupted. Hello? Don't ever send that court reporter back here. She interrupts all the time. You know, the other court reporter, she was the best. She never interrupted. Oh, really? How accurate is her record? Well, it looked fine to me. And you want to know something? It did look fine to them. Did she drop? Of course. It's a different attitude. But this is personally what I choose to do. I make my interruptions maximum 3 times. Please speak up. Second time. Please speak for the record. When I don't hear you, your words are not reflected on the record. It's them. I'm fine. I'm competent. Remember? So I let them know if there's a problem. The third time, I will not interrupt again. And then what do? I put dashes. But you know what else I do? I have a happy day. I do my best. I put dashes where I need to. And I have a happy day. And I take care of myself. Just a thought. And when we get back from the break, I'm going to tell you my favorite and the easiest of all, heavy accents.
Great.
Just to keep on target with the handout, our next page talks about creative thought control and humor. I've already shared with you a little bit on the story of Gabriella Sabatina. I have another Olympic story to share with you in a few minutes. But I will tell you, creativity is phenomenal. We all have it. Some of us think we don't, but we do. And if you think you don't, it's because you're a certain type. And by the way, I did put this information on the board because several people have been asking a little bit about my workshops. And I'm happy to share it with you. I've been doing the workshops for a very long time, and I'm going to cut down. I'm only going to do 2 workshops a year in Las Vegas and 1 or 2 other cities a year. Maybe I should do Texas. Is Houston a good area for all of you? Does anybody know what city the state convention will be in next year? No? I believe this year it was San Antonio. Did anybody go to the state convention this year? Not one person in this one? Okay.
I think it was Galveston.
Yeah,
it was Galveston.
Oh, Galveston, you're right, you're right. It was Galveston. You fly into San Antonio, I think. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. But nobody went. Because I heard they had, it was interesting. I was actually called and asked to speak there. And and then they changed the plan. But that's okay. I just didn't know if they're not planning the state the convention in Houston next year, are they? Probably not? Okay. Then maybe I will plan Houston. You never know. I have a personal reason to. I have a very dear friend who lives in Houston. Actually, she's one of my coaching clients. I'm also a life coach. This is one of my clients who I've been coaching for the past 2 years. And I've grown to love her dearly, and we're dear friends. Anyway, maybe I will simply come to Houston next year. I'll put that on my possibility list. And I don't think I talked a lot about it. I really don't have much intention of talking about my live workshops. I'll only say we cover all kinds of things like conflicts, prefixes, suffixes, word boundary problems, punctuation, alphabets, numbers, how to write all of these things cleaner, clean up dictionary, maintenance of a clean dictionary, smart strokes, advanced concepts, transition to card, transition to captioning. And when I teach real time, I don't care what level you're at. I hate the word beginner, intermediate, advanced. We're all court reporters. You might be great at one thing and weak at another. So the word beginner, intermediate, in my opinion, does not apply. And some of you have bachelor's degrees or master's degrees. Does that make you an advanced? You know, we are who we are, that's all. Anyway, I'll tell you more about that or read about it on my website.
Your mic's out.
That's what I thought. Jeff! Hello? Testing, testing. You know what? Rule number 3 for speakers, put in new batteries. I just ate almonds, and now I bet you I got little brown on my teeth. Will somebody be kind to me and tell me if I got a funny on my teeth? Because I'm tasting little bunnies. Rule number 7, when you're a professional speaker, you do not eat almonds on the break. At least it's not spinach. All right, so you'll let me know if something looks goofy. All right, so humor. I'm just talking a little bit about creativity and humor. It is just a wonderful thing. I realized when I did a trial with my dear friend Lucille, we did a daily together in federal court. The Isley brothers sued Michael Bolton.
Oh, wow.
They said Michael Bolton stole one of their songs. There were musicologists on the stand from New York. Never took a musicologist before. So I'm sitting there and writing. And by the way, yes, it was in real time. And Lucille would do this. They're going to play a short segment of an audio file. And she put paren. At 6:47 a.m., well, at 11:47 a.m., audio was played. At 11:49 a.m., audio ceased or stopped or whatever. My transcript said audio played. I never put the time. I don't bother with the times. It just wasn't part of my choice. I would say one type of thing, she would say something else. We never coordinated. We were never consistent. We just did what we felt like doing. How many people cared? How many people noticed? And you're right. Nobody cared and nobody noticed. How important was it? On a scale of 1 to 100, it was called 0. How many of you think about that? How many of you would worry about that? How many of you would partner with another person? How are you going to do this? How do you handle that? What should we do? I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm simply telling you that we think things that are so unimportant. You know what? Jeff! Okay. It looks like I have audio for about a minute. And then the little green light is going to turn to yellow. And It might not be a bad battery. I don't know what it is. My experience is usually it's a bad battery. You're running out of battery. So I don't know if he changed it. Whenever you go to speak, every morning you want fresh batteries in your microphone. And even if the next day there's still a lot of battery life, you always want fresh batteries.
It's not working even with the green light on.
Okay, so you're not hearing me now?
No. Not like before.
Okay. Well,
There's none.
We're calling him.
thank you. Jeff, because this is for the video camera, if he doesn't get this on video, it's okay. We'll just do another video. But anyway, I'm going to continue talking to you. I have little notes of what I want to share with you here. I promised you after the break I would tell you my favorite, the easiest problem of all, and that is heavy accents. Do you ever get a witness on the stand from a foreign country? Is it an autopsy surgeon? Oh, they're the best, right? From Asia or Bangladesh? Right. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I know you're sitting there and thinking, if I didn't say I loved it, you'd be thinking, oh, I hate those. Well, of course, look what you go through. I don't know how much you make an hour, but I want to tell you, if you suffer the way they do in Las Vegas and in California, the way I was raised, and you see what people go through to get a transcript out, they have to review every word, and it's 4 pages an hour. I don't know what you make an hour. Some of them make 88 cents an hour. I don't do that. If somebody wants me to do that kind of stuff, they're going to pay me an hourly fee. An additional $200 an hour. That's my fee. Used to be $150. I just gave myself a raise. Do they pay it? No. So then they don't get the service. Actually, I've had many people pay very nice fees for things that I chose not to do or I didn't want to do. Okay, another chapter. Let's go back to the heavy accent. Question. Dr. Vostoko, would you please tell us where you did your undergraduate and graduate studies? Oh, yes. Excuse me, counsel. Please repeat the words of the witness because I do not understand the accent.
Oh, I like that.
How easy is this? Because do the attorneys understand? No. What do they do? They don't. Do they worry? No. They're going to read the transcript later. Okay, so they're going to read the transcript later. What are you, a magician? No, you're not. You let them repeat. What are they going to say? Sometimes they do know the answer because they have lived with the case for months, if not years. They know what's going on. They've got the answers written out. They have documentation that's supporting whatever the words are that are being said. And maybe they can articulate those words for you so that you understand.
Now,
Yes.
now, when you did that, do you put that on the record, your question?
When I do that, do I put that on the record? Absolutely.
I would, yeah.
Anytime there's a doubt, I'm going to put something on the record. I have never gone to go to jail, a court reporter record school, where I interjected on a record. I'm going to take care of the record. Do I put every interruption on the record? Of course not. I'm writing along. Could you just say that? I missed that word. What was that word? You know, when they say the word, okay, thanks. And I go on. I mean, we do what we do. We're human. We connect. We have rapport with people. Yes.
One question. Whenever you're doing that, like, because I transcribe my own records, and I'm not writing myself when I'm saying that, and I don't always listen to the audio unless there's a problem, so how do you know where you interjected?
Okay, great question. You do your own transcripts. You don't know when to interject because if you say it, you're not writing it. It's not on the record. Most of the comments we make are not on the record. We do our business as usual. We interject and put a comment on the record when it's necessary. When it's absolutely vital that a problem is being illustrated on the record and that anybody reading it needs to understand there's something not right here. Or there's something, if I'm going to drop or put dashes, I want to make sure it's clear, it's understood, and people have an opportunity to not let that happen. Because when I make my comment on the third time of everything, going too fast, speaking too softly, speaking all at once, whatever the problem, or heavy accent, anything, I'll interrupt only 3 times, and it's clear that there's a problem on the record. If I have to, I will interject it later. You see it in the transcript, and you can type it in, only if you feel it's vital. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. I am not saying that we have a bad battery, but what I am saying is it kind of goes in and out. From my experience,
I think it's this.
okay, I think it is too because it's a green light and it's not working. There it is. It's getting better. Can we do it a drop louder too? It just zoomed
You
out.
know what? I have to have them come and fix this because they have this kind of ribbed here with duct tape and everything else holding the thing.
Well, that's not great. It's in and out.
Okay.
It's a little drop of good, mostly bad.
Let me see.
But we're okay. You can all hear.
Yes.
And besides which, doesn't it look good? I mean, I have a mic. It looks like I'm speaking loudly. Okay, thank you. I'm taking this off.
That's it.
All right. So, great question. How do you know when to put it in the record? You're not used to putting your comments in the record. Put it in only if you feel it's absolutely necessary to make sense of the transcript, to cover yourself. Yes?
No, but the question was like, if you're not listening to your audio when you're transcribing, do you put something in there when you're talking, just say like note or something so you'll know where you were talking?
Yes, good question. You're not listening to the audio, you're simply doing a transcript and you're creating your transcript. You don't know when you made those comments. You're not writing comments when you are speaking. And if you know instinctively if what you're saying is germane to the record and very important. Yes, absolutely you will make a note. You'll make a note to yourself at all times, anytime you feel it's necessary. I hope you all have what I would call a little magic stroke or something. The writers used to have a thing where you go like that and it marks the notes. For me, I write T*Z, and the reason is I have no idea why, I just do it. T*Z because it's easy to write. I have found I have never misstroked that. And what do I get when I write T*Z? Is it fixed? Oh, well, here. Is it fixed?
Yeah.
Okay. So I write T*Z. I've personally chosen to define that as 3 asterisks. Why? I have no idea. It just, to me, that looks pretty. It's almost invisible. And in 40 years, nobody's ever walked up to me and said, I noticed you have 3 asterisks in your transcript. And I do not know what that means. If anybody did ever ask, because I know how you think. Your thinking is your thinking. It's not the truth. Nobody cares. Nobody sees it. It's invisible. But that's okay. That's what you do. And I would simply say, if somebody said, you had 3 stars in your transcript, I would say, counsel, that is a computer-generated symbol that I go to later. So, next question. That's how the computer does it. If all right, I'm going to share one thing with you that we do in the workshops. And it's what I would call an emergency stroke, yes.
All right, we're going to unplug you for just a second.
Good.
Plug you in.
Sure,
So,
no
hold on
problem.
For a second.
No problem. So, I call it an emergency stroke.
Well, I say hold on so you wouldn't keep talking.
Yeah, I've been talking half the time with no audio, so they can hear me.
What's that now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Now I lost my place. And I don't apologize for it. I've earned the right to lose my place. I am 70 and I've earned it. So there you go. That's how I am. I forget. Would you read that back? Okay, where was I? Emergency stroke. Yes. How long is this? For you folks on video, we haven't had audio great, and now we got audio, and I'm just asking how long it's going to last. It might be good all day. We'll see. Okay. Emergency stroke for me is OIG. O-I-G. O-I-G. What is OIG? Well, where do you work? I work for Amalgamated Steel and Pipeline Incorporated, Inc. How long have you worked for Amalgamated Steel and Pipeline Incorporated, Inc.? I've worked for Amalgamated Steel and Pipeline Incorporated, Inc. for about 12 years. Did you ever leave OIG? Yes. I went to work for Hewlett-Packard. How long did you work for Hewlett-Packard? Well, 2 months. Why? Well, because I decided I wanted to go back to my old job at OIG. Now, folks, listen. If you think OIG is going to look weird in your transcript, let me tell you something. OIG is not going to look any worse than Amalgamated Steel and Pipeline Incorporated, Inc. said at 300 words a minute, and you've botched it up royally 5 or 6 times. There's nothing wrong with O-E-U-G. As a matter of fact, it's wonderful. And I'll tell you why. Because you can be consistent. And if you're writing OIG 17 times before you get to define it, on a break or a pause, it's consistent. When you define it, it's perfect. Saves your editing time. Your record is all about you. You don't worry about the real time. I'll tell you what happens. Attorneys, if they're looking at it, they see the OEUG. How long did you work at OEUG? Well, guess what? They're not stupid. They read right through it. They know it's that company you worked for. And it globals beautifully. You've got it for the rest of the day or whenever. It's just an easy stroke to write. And you can write soig, loig, toig, moig, foig, choig, zoig, all of it. Have you ever had a salpingo-oophorectomy? Oh yes, I had a salpingo-oophorectomy. Was it a successful salpingo-oophorectomy? Actually, no. I would never recommend a soig for anybody. Why wouldn't you recommend a soig? Because there are so many complications that could happen, etc. It's something that you might use once or twice in a transcript, maybe 2 versions. You're not going to do 18 words of wild card. We call those wild cards. But they're so much fun. They work great. And if you start, you'll find you're going to use a wild card every day. You will know what it is. There's no question what it is. And people can read through it. And if they can't, that's great too. I have never once had anybody come up to me and say, what is an S-O-E-U-G? They don't say it. They don't think it. They either know what it is through context or they're not reading the screen. Many of you are experienced real-time writers, and you know that attorneys don't read the screen at least 90%. Would you agree with that?
I don't know. I don't do it for the attorneys. We don't have that in court.
Okay, well then in court you do your real-time.
Just for me.
Just for you. Okay, great.
I mean, they can read over my shoulder to help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, but my point is, they usually don't read the screen. Contrary to what a court reporter thinks. Okay. So they don't say anything, and if they do, I would just say that's how the computer writes salpingo-oophorectomy. That's a computer-generated characterization of part of this record. That's computerese. Anything like that, doesn't matter. It's so unimportant. The truth is, sir, it's none of your business. Leave me alone. I'm doing my job, you go do yours. But you don't want to be rude, of course, and you want to be kind. And if there's genuine curiosity, you want to be pleasant, of course. But that's what I'll say, something about that's how the computer does it. The best part is you get to global something, it's clean, it's easy to remember. You don't have to do sal ping ping, sal sal, sal ooh ooh, whatever it is. I used to do like 18 versions of a shortcut by the time the day was over. Because I'd forget my shortcut. Now I got to do a new shortcut. And what are you global? Nothing. You've got to type it 15 times. No, this is a very fun thing to do. And I don't know about you, but I love having fun during the day. And real-time shortcuts, ideas, funny little things that you do make your transcripts more fun. One thing I've personally never done, and that was out of fear. I've never written little notes like, this guy is a jerk. Or this guy has mush in his mouth, and I'll tell you why. I wanted to, but I'll tell you why I never did it. Because I always thought, what if I die and somebody's got to read my notes and do a transcript? I always wanted to kind of look professional. So I personally would avoid some of that. But we all get to do what we get to do. And if the note is germane to an outsider looking at it. What if your notes are being scrutinized and you're before the grand jury in some huge case and you wrote yourself those little notes? It would be a little, anyway. So you've got the idea of a wild card. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Heavy accents I told you about. And we've talked just a little bit about creativity and humor. We've got many reasons why it's creating value. We could sit here and read the list. It's not necessary. You've got this list just to give you a little bit of idea. Okay. And on page 4, well, no, it's not page 4, it's number 4 in the lower left corner. Reducing, eliminating, choking under pressure by mastering energy and emotions. Folks, energy and emotions are the key. There are 7 major strategies in controlling test nerves, in controlling choking under pressure. How can Olympic champions perform at their max when the TV cameras worldwide are on them? When they are scrutinized in all the rag magazines and every little thing they do is out for the whole world to see, and then they get to embellish and make up stuff about you, etc., etc. How does a person master emotions and energy? Let's take a look at proven, documented research. There are 4 basic energy zones, and they are right here on this page. Okay? The 4 basic energy zones. The first is high positive, where you've got enthusiasm, excitement, challenges, not problems. How many of you have a problem? No, you've got a challenge. It's just a different word. It has a different feel to it. You don't need to go to that place called Pelicans. Go to that place called Challenges. I'll guarantee you, if you've got a quote-unquote problem, chances are other people have had that same problem and they've figured out a way to solve it. Or they get through it. Or you've lost a loved one. There's no question. Your heart could be broken. You are absolutely devastated. No question that could happen. You're human. You're human. I'm not going to tell you to be a machine and say, those things happen, everybody dies, I move on, I'm creating a great life in this moment. I'm not asking you to be a robot and devoid of feelings. But on the other hand, that's a whole big topic that we'll table for now. But high positive energy, focus on the present. There it is. You're in control, you're focused. You visualize excellence. You can be a visionary. Laughter, joy, you're well coordinated, energized, appropriate responses to situations. When you don't fly off the handle, you don't act emotionally, you don't go to some of those negative places we talked about earlier, like taking it personally or assuming. You welcome a challenge and you feel calm. You can do this. This is high positive energy. Would you like to hang out there? Absolutely. That's a wonderful place to live life. Then there's low positive energy, where you're relaxed, you're sleepy, you're weary, low motivation, lack of energy, or tension. Avoidance, maybe it'll go away. I'll think about that tomorrow. You're placid. You might giggle a little, have humor, pleasure, serene, ease off, no drive. Resting peacefully. Ah, okay. Unhurried, calm, easygoing. And on the page just before that, this page, you'll see my little pictures of first high positive energy, low positive, with a little baby yawning. Tell me, is one of those a good place to be and one of those a bad place to be? We all know that high energy is a great place to be. How many of you think low energy is not a great place to be? Okay, you're absolutely right. Every single one of you is correct. Low energy is a wonderful place to be. Both. You need both. You need the push, you need the relaxation. You know when you work out, you push hard and then you rest. If you're doing upper body one day, you do lower body the next day. You give your body a chance to rest after that first day of workout. And that's part of the balance, the yin and the yang. But let's look at low negative energy. Now we're crossing over into the right quadrant. Low negative energy, this is a danger zone. When you're bored, you're uninterested and annoyed, irritated, tension without energy, depressed, burnt out, overwhelmed, feeling hopeless. You've lost passion. I don't care. You're lethargic, afraid, overtired, powerless, victimized. I can't handle problems or challenges. This is a danger zone. If you find yourself in this low negative zone, you want to be conscious of it, you want to be aware of it, and you want to say to yourself, what can I do to cross over, to get at least in the low negative, in the low positive? I'm not asking you to be on top of the world every 30 seconds. You're not going to be overjoyed when you fail your test. But what can you do? And I'll tell you what I did when I had my terrible experience. First of all, I probably blew it out of proportion, and it probably wasn't quite as horrible as I thought it was. Yes, I bombed. Yes, I didn't. I got some bad responses. And I got good responses. And life goes on. And I'm still moving forward, and I'm just doing other good things. And I told you that I emphasized that I did my best, which I really did. I did my best. I can't do more than that. So the world is going to give us the feedback that it gives us. Is it always going to be fabulous? No. But I could go to the low positive zone and relax, feel placid, maybe go to a funny movie, ease off. I could rest, I could feel easygoing, and maybe divert my thoughts. And we all know this, as the days go by, it's a little bit less intense, a little bit less intense. And I move forward, and I'm always thinking to myself, next time. What am I going to do next time? Next? It's always next, next, next. We don't need to dwell in that negative. So, just a thought. High negative energy is the fourth zone. That's the one you want to be aware of the most. That's the one you do not want to go to. And we're talking about being angry. Yes, you might get angry. But how often do you get angry? Wouldn't it be fabulous to get angry 3 times a year instead of 94 times a year? And you have that power. Again, I'm not asking you to be inhuman. However, I am saying to you that if you tend to get angry a lot, anger management control is a fantastic thing to entertain or to look into. You don't have to get angry a lot. You give yourself an allotment of what you feel will work well for you. And I'm not saying never, but I am saying, how about almost never? Would that work? Almost never. Because when you get angry, you have choices. There are other ways to look at something. Furious, tense, disgust, anger, no joy, must do, vengeance, have to prove something with your performance. Oh really? Do you really have to prove something? And what about road rage? We know about road rage. People have been killed because of road rage. It's just amazing what people do. When you're focusing on the past or the future, you're not staying in the moment. And that can be a danger zone. Okay? When you feel like a victim, don't raise your hands. Don't raise your hands. How many of you are victims? Well, I really am, because you should see what happened to me and blah, blah, blah. Well, I was molested as a child. Of course I was a victim. There was nothing I could do about it. And you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. Yes, if you're molested as a child, there's nothing you can do about it. But I'll tell you what you can do. You can use the experiences that you've had in your life and shift the energy, shift the definition, shift everything that you do. What if you became a spokesperson for how to live a joyous, full, incredible life after having been molested as a child? Look at our little J.C. Dugard. I mean, I think about her story, and she is beyond amazing. How could you be held in captivity for 14 plus years? Have two children with your molester, and every time you look at those children, all you see is yourself and your own family, and the joy and the beauty and the pureness of those children. You've chosen. You don't see the bad. And we all know her story. She was rescued, and she is amazing how she heals. And she's healing. And when somebody like that can do something like that, what's your excuse? How about, anybody know the name, God bless you? No, not that name. How many of you know the name Nick Vujicic? Nick Vujicic, I believe, I don't remember the spelling, V-A-J-A-C-I-C, something, I don't know. Nick is the first name. Anyway, young man, born to parents, the mother, a nurse, a high-level supervisor nurse. Gets pregnant, is going to have a baby, does everything perfect. Prenatal vitamins, healthy vegetables and foods, organic, all the good stuff. Prays for healthy baby, gets a baby. Beautiful baby. Only one little thing. No arms, no legs. They love the little baby with no arms, no legs. And the little baby grew up from a very loving, devoted family. He's now, I believe he's in his 20s or late 20s. He's actually married. He speaks all over the world. He's written several books. And he's a young man with no limbs. He wrote a book called No Limits, but I think he also wrote a book called No Limbs, something like that. And he gets around. He's got a college degree. He does investing. And he does all the things he can do. Obviously, he's not a court reporter. Can't do that. But he's an amazing human being with an incredible inspiration. And yes, at 11 years old, he did want to die. His life was just too hard. You can imagine. His life is hard every day of his life. But he's gone through so much mentally and emotionally, and he is just an absolute joy. There are videos on YouTube. You can download them for free. Yes?
Did he get some prosthetics?
Did he get prosthetics? No. No,
It
didn't
wouldn't
work.
work. You had that part of your arm.
Exactly. I can't answer the details. I think he tried prosthetics, and he ended up hating them. And he's got one little flap at the bottom, and he kind of floppers around. And he's accepted himself. He loves himself. He moves forward in life. He is a joy to listen to, a joy to watch. Very good-looking young man. So when you see him on YouTube and they do the face shot, oh boy, he is great. They also show the full body and how he bounces around on a table. And Nick, I believe it's N-I-C-K, Vujicic. Something like, I don't know, V-A-J-I-V-I-C, Vujicic, S-I-C at the end. Okay, I don't know. Just Google, I'm sure he'll pop up. Also look for man, no arms, no legs. You can Google that. But I watched some of his videos and I just feel so good because his whole energy is so joyous. You don't hear things like, well, I'm 23 years old and as you can see, I was born with no arms and no legs. It's very difficult to get dressed in the morning. I'm so dependent on some. There's nothing like that. Come on. Isn't it all about energy and emotions? You better believe it. And if you don't believe that, watch that video. When you see him enthusiastic and excited, he makes money. He's got a whole full life with a beautiful wife. I don't know if he has children, but he's an incredible person. His parents obviously never gave up on him. He was highly educated. Just an amazing story and a beautiful spirit. Okay. Anyway, so high positive, low positive, high negative, low negative. My message to you is, you stay in the high and low positive zone as much as possible. Have an awareness when you find yourself in the high and low negative, you can do something about it. Okay, excuse me. I have, is it 9:53?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Somehow my clock became unplugged. Now I know why my friend uses an analog clock with a little wind up or something. Okay. Questions about the energy zones? Secrets Olympic champions embrace. How about you being your own Olympic champion when you're going to be taking your next test? What you can do is an affirmation every morning. Affirmations are hugely powerful. You might not believe in them. Oh, I'm not into that I don't like that gooey stuff. Oh, great. Do you think the universe cares what you like? If you don't like it, that's wonderful. I told you, you're totally welcome to disagree with me. My comments are based on hard facts, research. Research that works. Why would you dispute what 99+% of Olympic champions do? If somebody tells me if I turn 3 cartwheels a month and I am going to increase my income by $50,000 a year, guess what I'm going to do? 3 cartwheels a month. Do I need to understand it? No. Do I need to believe it? No. What difference does it make? I'm just telling you, affirmations do work. They are wonderful. You're talking to your subconscious mind. You use, and watch your friends. You use words like, oh, I could never do that. Call your friend on it. Kindly and lovingly say, you can do anything you want. Perhaps you could rephrase that. Why are you telling your subconscious something negative? Oh, I could never do real time. Oh, stop it. I'll tell you what it takes to do real time. It takes the right software. It takes a plug, a cord, to go from the computer to your laptop or wireless. And it takes a writer and a computer. If you got that, you can do real time. I didn't say clean real time. I didn't say good real time. How about the attorney who came up to me after a 4-week trial? They spoke beautiful English. I had a job dictionary. It wasn't even difficult. By the 2nd week, my real time was looking almost perfect. I'm just zipping right along, doing great. And the attorney says to me, I don't know why you charge extra when that computer does all the work. You see, folks, perceptions are powerful. They are that person's reality in that moment. Every one of you have a perception, and you're right. Excuse me. Every one of you has a perception, and you're right. Whatever your perception is at the moment, that's your truth. It doesn't make it the truth, but it makes it your truth at that moment. And the attorney can feel frustrated, has to pay all of this extra money for real time. It looks so easy. How about the person who's fairly new, has a million untranslates, lots of conflicts, lots of word boundary problems. The misstrokes are in green, right? Neon green. The conflicts are on neon red, blinking neon red. Excuse me, I made a mistake. Make sure you don't do it. Thank you, cat software companies. So you've got this junk on your screen. Well, we call it junk. I don't, by the way. I think if we have an untranslate, that's a work of art. I think an untranslate is genius. Can anybody else write an untranslate? No way. Can anybody read our steno? Absolutely not. But if somebody were to come by and look at our screen filled with untranslates and conflicts and drops and all kinds of goofy things, they'd look at it, oh my Lord, can you read that? Your response is absolutely feeling proud, tall, shoulders back, chin up, big old smile on your face. That energy is fantastic. Oh, absolutely counts. They could walk away thinking you're a genius. So now they think that you're the genius because you could read this hieroglyphics. But the person who wrote perfectly just overcharges. Isn't that interesting? Perception. See, we don't think like that, but maybe an outsider does. And I know they do. Some of them. Okay, so affirmations are great. We've listed 11. See what you like. I write my best when I write my test. I write my best when I write my test. When I went to sit for the Nevada CSR, as they call it the CCR, Certified Court Reporter, I failed it the first time. I didn't think I failed it, so I'm a good writer. Never thought about it. I had 62 errors. We were allowed 50. I went to school for 4 months. And with all of my strong writing all through the years, and I told you I'm a clean real-time writer, and I felt myself to be a very competent court reporter, I had 62 errors. I went back to school. I was in the 180 class. I could not pass 180. I haven't written for several years. If I'm doing a lot of seminars, I don't write very often. And I'm not in my game. I went back to school, and it took me a month to get out of the 180 class, to go to the 180-200 class. And it took me a while to build my speed to that. I focused for 4 months to get my skill back to sit for that Nevada CCR again. I did take it again, and by the way, I did get perfect. Because if I didn't, I would have lost my academics that I did pass. And I don't care for the academic testing. I'm more of a writer type of lady. Anyway, I gave myself an affirmation every day. I write my best when I write my test. I write my best when I write my test. How about I love tests? I love tests. How about I love Ready Begin? I love Ready Begin. Ready Begin, Ready Begin. Come on, Ready Begin, come on. Come get me, Ready Begin. I love it. Affirmations are powerful. They are fantastic. Mental rehearsal visualizations. Anybody? The CNS doesn't know the difference between reality and an imagined story.
Central nervous system.
Yes. Who said that? Thank you. Excellent. You're absolutely right. The central nervous system does not know the difference between what you envision and pretend versus what the truth is, the reality. Remember that when you're doing your self-talk in life in general. And you can read this, and you can desensitize yourself to whatever makes you nervous. But I must say, if you're going to take a test, the RPR, the RMR, the CSR, the whatever it is, any test that you do choose to take, practice, 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 build your skill, make sure that you have put in the work. I cannot ignore that at all. That's very important. Put in the work. Okay. And one easy transformational technique is EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. How many of you have heard of EFT? Not one person. Okay, super great, fabulous. Google it. Google it. Emotional Freedom Technique. Read a little paragraph or two. It won't hurt you. If it's interesting, read 3 or 4 paragraphs or more. My husband stumbled on it quite by accident. And what it is a technique that you can do. It takes about 1 to 2 minutes. Well, that's no big deal. It's free. That's good news. It's super, super, super easy. Oh, that's the kind I like. How bad could something be if it's free, if it's easy, and it takes 1 or 2 minutes. Now, I am telling you from personal experience, this is pure genius. When you read about it, you start watching videos on it, and you see what they've done. Gary Craig invented it about close to 30 years ago. He's got DVDs on it. My husband chose to order the DVDs after he was kind of into it. You don't have to spend a penny. He spent $79 and got a big stack of DVDs. Do you know what every single DVD said on the front of it? Please duplicate and share it with everybody you know. That's Gary Craig for you. The goal was to help people. He's worked with thousands of veterans, people with PSTD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, if I said that right, PTSD, or whatever. Bottom line is it works. I had a life experience when I fell down, hurt my knee, went to the emergency. Of course, I thought there was nothing, right? It's 2 hours later when it starts to swell and get worse and worse and worse. By the time I made it to the emergency room, I am writhing in pain. I'm hyperventilating. I'm crying hysterically. I can't catch my breath. The pain was beyond words. One of those type things. I couldn't put it up. I couldn't sit down. I couldn't lie down. I couldn't stand. It was excruciating. My husband was with me. He said, "Why don't you try tapping?" Tapping is EFT. I never thought of it, but I said, even though I'm killing, I have horrible pain, and I can't stand my knee. I don't forgive myself. 1, 2, 3, 4. Happy birthday to you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Happy birthday to you. I go through this silly thing, the tapping, the affirmations. I'm telling you, in less than 2 minutes, 90% of the pain was gone. I am breathing normally. And I looked at my husband and I said, "Do you believe this?" I mean, it is unbelievable. It doesn't make sense. But I did my little tapping, and nobody will ever tell me to the day I die that it doesn't work. It worked in my greatest time of need, which I didn't even think about it. But anyway, give yourself the gift of researching it. You've got exactly what to Google. You'll also notice brilliant, great people who talk about it, who endorse it. Dr. Mercola, Jack Canfield, Joe Vitale, a lot of big names prescribe to EFT. Know that it exists. And your call to action is right here on this last page, creating mastery of test joy. I have a few resources for you, the finger exercise book, the word log book, and I'll talk about that later. I guess there's a little bit about me. Jeff, I don't know why you did it this way, but you did. Okay. Anyway, that completes our first segment of this seminar. Yes, I went over 5 minutes. That means you don't get a break. No. Okay, great. Oh, what on earth is all this? What? Oh, that's not one. Okay. I didn't know what some of this handout was. Okay, folks, you've been fabulous. I appreciate your attention. I've heard a few comments that some people got value out of what I've been talking about, and I appreciate that. What's going to make me even more joyous and happy, having spent this time with you, is that you take this information, that you use it, make it work in your life, elevate whatever it is, whether it's your thinking or your responses to things or your goals, or maybe I can do this. And in any aspect of your life, the call to action is what it's all about. Thank you. You're wonderful. Love you. See you in a short while. Thank you. Stop there. Okay, so I have 11:06. Let's come back at 11:15. 10-minute break.
All right, welcome back. You ready for part 2?
Yes.
All right, did you learn some good stuff
Yes.
that you actually apply to your lives?
Yes.
All right, great.
Wonderful.
That makes a huge change. Because you don't get this kind of information in regular court reporter seminars, do you?
No.
It's just like, that's it. So all they want to do is give you the technical stuff. So that's great that we get somebody like Anita to come and join us here. And now she's getting ready for her second part. You're going to really enjoy this one here. It's called Shortcuts and Super Briefs, things that you can do every day on the job in your transcripts, making your life easier. So, nice round of applause for Anita Paul!
Thank you. Number one, know your software. Number two, see number one. Know your software, folks. Know your software. Many of the top softwares out there today have wonderful features. One of them is, I think, called Brief It. Another is Auto Brief. Magic this, Magic that. Whatever it is, know your software. On my software, there is an automation of creating a brief on the fly after you've written something 2 or 3 times. I've tried it. I personally do not like it. I don't use it. But I've also spent years mastering my writing and learning how to write briefs. It's ingrained in my mind how my mind works. So I'm not saying that every feature on the software is perfect. What I am saying is take the time to at least learn it. Practice it, give it a try. I have friends who use these features. They swear by them. They love them. Now, they did spend time learning and tweaking and applying them. So I cannot emphasize enough, know your software, get software training. Your software companies have spent so much time, money, energy, effort, brilliance, genius to create R&D fabulous results, research and development. So take advantage of what they've created for us. In our live workshops, we talk about what the software can do and what this R&D has led us to. One quick example, suffixes. Suffixes on some softwares are perfect. Does it end in ER? Does it end in OR? Is it, when you're writing the word compressor, you can write, I'll give you a little tip right now. For the OR and the ER ending, write final R. Now some people will say, oh no, that's my word R, A-R-E. Well, were you also taught initial R? I was taught initial R or final R, either one, it's the word R. In phrases, W-E-R, we are. T-H-E-R, they are. Okay? I-R? No, that's not a phrase. That's irrelevant, right? Okay, but my point is, sure, that's fine to do a phrase with the letter R. But for standalone R, I'm suggesting do initial R. You can do that. You don't have to do initial or E or final R for the word R. A-R-E, initial R. Final R can be your suffix ER. You define it, by the way, in Case Catalyst with your word suffix and then ER. You all know what I mean by the word suffix. It's the capital X shortcut symbol on the FS format symbol box. Are you with me, Case Catalyst? If you're not, raise your hand and ask for clarification. Okay. On Eclipse, it's the brace. They call it brace. I call it a wiggle bracket. You call it whatever you want. And it's the caret, ER, end brace, or end wiggle bracket. Are you with me, Eclipse? If there's anybody who wants more clarification, please ask. And of course, StenoCat is the word remove space. Aristocat's an @ sign. ProCat is a tilde. Digital Cat is the word prefix or suffix. Did I miss a cat software?
Smart Cat.
Smart Cat, I don't know.
I think I'm the only one on it.
And it might be a tilde, I'm not sure. Okay. But here's the deal, folks. You've got intelligence built into your cat software. If you write the word elevator, you can write elevate and then final R. And you could write a word like feeler. Put out feelers, okay, a feeler. You could write the word feel, final R. And it will give you F-E-E-L-E-R. It will give you E-L-E-V-A-T-O-R. Automatically, on those major cat softwares, I know 100% for sure, Case Catalyst and Eclipse. I don't know all of them. I'm not sure how intelligent all of the suffixing is on all cat softwares, but I'm telling you, the softwares are fabulous. So, yes.
So I just want to make sure I'm following you. So you say if you define, like saying case catalyst, if you define the final R by itself as suffix ER, it
Yes.
will decide for you?
Exactly.
Really?
And it will give you an automatic compressor with the OR
Okay. That's,
in English.
Okay. Wow.
Now, it will in 95%.
Okay.
And when it doesn't, when it misses, then you highlight the two words, the two outlines together in English define.
Okay.
But most words, it gives you an automatic, it knows when to double a consonant, it knows when to drop an E. For example, we don't want mommy baked a cake, B-A-K-E-E-D. We want the final D defined as ED, suffix. But it automatically will do B-A-K-E and just the D. And anyway, so that's just an example of why I say know your software. Get with a trainer, get a group together, learn together and have fun. It's a wonderful thing. And we were talking on the break, and we have a young lady who is on Eclipse. She took the manual and taught herself. It's also an online manual, and she can read and do this and read and do that, and she did all that, and she learned the software. You can watch a video. They have videos. Try this. Do this. You did it. Now the video says, now try that. And you do it. Great. Another person's on Eclipse. She hasn't really learned the software great. She just doesn't read a manual well. You know what? I don't. I'm not a great manual reader. We are different. And without going into a lot of detail, I'm going to share a thought with you, because it's near and dear to my heart. I love it. And I just want to share things that I love and that I've discovered. And some of you might agree. And that is, we all know instinctively that we are all different. How many of you have heard of the golden rule? Every hand should go up. All right, again. How many of you have heard of the golden rule? Who hasn't? Okay, of course we have. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Folks, do you see the flaw in that thinking? My friend Tony Alessandra created the Platinum Rule. He's written books on this, advanced relationship strategies, and all kinds of different books and different things. And he wrote a book called The Platinum Rule. Great book. I highly recommend it. What is the Platinum Rule? Do unto others as they would like to have done unto them. Another book to reference to you. The 5 Languages of Love. Something like that, or the 5 Love Languages. And what does that mean? It's a book, again, little book, easy read, wonderful insights. And it helped me learn my family. I have 2 children, grown children, and 2 grandchildren. And I learned from that book. You see, the 5 languages of love are, some people love to be touched. They love being massaged, hugged, kissed. They love physical contact. Other people like deeds or tasks, or when you take out the trash, or when you run errands for me, or when you make my bed, or when you run my bath water in the morning. I love it. It means so much to me. Another person might say, look, I can run my own bath water. I really don't need you to do that. Different. We're different. Another person might love presents or gifts. Another person, my daughter hates gifts. Mom, don't waste your time or money or energy with gifts. I'm a gift giver. I like to give gifts. So I give her a gift and she rolls her eyes at me. All right. She doesn't want to receive gifts. I want to give gifts. 5 languages of love. I understand it better today, and I give her gifts she likes. She loves candles. So I give her a candle. I spend $10 on a gift from my daughter. It works. They don't care. So I don't focus on that. So there are, I'm not even sure what all 5 are. One is the gift, one is the touch, words, another one. Do you talk kindly and lovingly to your spouse? Do you say sweet things? Do you know every day, even from the day I met my husband, he says, I am so beautiful. He thinks I'm gorgeous. He has bad eyesight. No. See how silly that is? Why would I do a self-deprecating comment like that? Does it come naturally to me? I'm still working on me, okay? But especially without makeup and whatever, he thinks I'm beautiful. He thinks I'm gorgeous. He's around court reporters. He comes to most of my court reporter events. Not this event, but most others. And we know a lot of young, gorgeous court reporters are out there. And he thinks I'm the most beautiful. Is that sweet or what? Yeah. So he says lovely words to me. And he's slowing down. He's 83. And he's had 4 strokes several years ago. So his thinking is a little different. And he's funny because he doesn't always have the right word, and I know that. So when he says something, I know to ignore him. And I told you that already. I just ignore what he says, and it works out great. But I don't ignore the "you're beautiful" part. But my point here is words mean a lot to some people. Other people, if you've been married a long time, do you say "I love you" every day? Do you say sweet things every day? Hey, did you get the trash? You know, Johnny has to be picked up at 7 tonight. And darn, I'm busy. I'm really working on a heavy transcript. Will you get him? Okay, you get him. You're thinking about other stuff. And that's normal. That's normal life, communicating. So not everybody is into the words. That's what I'm saying. We're all different. So we have words, we have presence, we have touch, we have tasks. And then there's a 5th one. I forgot. Okay, doesn't matter. But I'm just sharing with you that we are different. We are also different in other ways. How many of you know what DISC is? D-I-S-C? How many have heard of it?
Actually, no, I was thinking about something else.
Okay, that's fine. How many of you have heard of Myers-Briggs? Okay. And you know that Myers-Briggs is a personal assessment tool. It's a way to learn a little about yourself and learn about others, what they're like. This is the same idea. There are several out there. One is called True Colors. Another is Strength Finders. There are several assessments. These are called assessments. And some of them you can actually take for free online. I know you can do a Myers-Briggs free test online. What does that mean? It means you answer questions. You answer these questions online, and you push a button, and boom, 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 magic, you get a report. Who are you? What are you like? Very quickly. D stands for dominance. I also like to use the word director. I can stand for inspiration. I like to use the word cheerleader. S stands for steady, or steadiness. I like to use the word relator. C stands for conscientious. I like to use a word like bookkeeper or accountant. Some people are excellent leaders. They're bottom line people. If you're going to communicate with the director, the CEO, somebody who's in charge, who runs the show, give them the information, give them the bottom line. When will it be done? And that's it. They don't want to hear about Susie and her tonsillectomy. They want the bottom line, they want the information, and that's it. They want to direct, they want to lead, CEO. And I, for inspiration, that person is cheerful, is exuberant. Come on, guys, let's get our project done, and then we can go off to happy hour and have some beer and pizza. Come on, I'll help you. They're enthusiastic. They're the cheerleader of the organization or the team, business team, or whatever it is. The S, the steady person, is the person who is the peacemaker. They don't like to ruffle feathers. They don't want to hurt your feelings. My feelings get hurt sometimes. I don't want to hurt your feelings. Well, come on, let's all get along. Let's all find a way to get along. And these people are wonderful if they're hospice workers or if they are nurses. And steady or relator type people are of great value to a team. And as you can see, everybody is needed in a group or on a team. And the C, the conscientious, this is the person who is very exacting, who wants to handle the books or is the controller. The CFO, the person who is the introvert. By the way, these two are introverts. These two are extroverts. And this particular introvert deals with facts and figures. What was our results last quarter? Did we make any money? Yeah, we made around 2%. No. What exactly did we make? We made 1.874%. But others might just say, oh, around 2%, that's cool. Let's go play. But these people want the exact figures. Research, project done, give these people the information and leave them alone. Don't interrupt them every 5 minutes. 2 days later, they'll come back with a gorgeous Excel spreadsheet. I think Excel is the way to blend Excel spreadsheet. Don't we blend our words? So the conscientious or the bookkeeper type of person is the C. We are all different. I happen to be an I, and I didn't even realize it. I thought I was an S. I thought I was a steady, but I am an extrovert, and there are certain aspects of the S that I'm not. We all have maybe 2 or 3 or all 4 in us, but we have one dominant feature. And until I did my testing and analyzed it thoroughly and got off my old thinking, like I know what I am, and Anita, look at the results, look at the data, look at the answers to what you've been answering. I am an I, second I'm a D, third I'm an S, and last I am a C. If you're going to talk to somebody and you're walking down the hall, and it's an attorney or a judge or whomever, agency owner, if you know that they are a D, a bottom line person, you might say something like, I know we have our big trial coming up in 3 days, I will be prepared, and I have done all of the necessary preparation to bring in a second court reporter for the daily. Walk away. If you know that that attorney or judge is an I, you might say, hi George, how you doing? Or hi Judge, how you doing? By the way, how did your child do last week in the competition? Oh, that's great. Well, you know, second place is really great. It's not first, but that's okay. You must be very proud. Okay, well, we're going to be starting our big trial soon. Yeah, walk away. When you're talking to a C, you might say, I noticed that our statistics are that you've actually done 17% more than other courtrooms in the last 6 months. Yeah, I'm bringing that percentage up. Good job. You see what I'm saying? Our conversation is different to different people we talk to. Does this make sense? So this awareness can be of great value. Let me check one thing back here. Whoops. Here, I need to check one thing. All right, so know this exists. These are documented factual studies. And I only talk about it because it can bring you value. What does it have to do with writing shortcuts and super briefs? Well, for one thing, we learn differently. I started this presentation by talking about CAD software and how one person will take the software manual and learn it and do it. Another person wants a live class. Another person learns and operates differently. Some of you are visual learners. Some of you are kinesthetic learners. And some of you are audio learners. So we're all different. And that's why it's great to understand enough that we can communicate with people differently, with different learning styles. It's not always about us. It's not always about what you like to do best. So that's the only reason I mentioned some of these different styles. And our little C here might do fantastic with the manual. Okay? So as you do this, you might even find an assessment online that's free. I am in the middle of becoming a certified disc trainer, going through a lot of training in order to not only be able to administer these tests, but to analyze them and debrief them and work with people in my life coaching. So this is all part of what I do as a life coach. But I just wanted to share it with you because I love it. I just think it's really cool to be aware and to have that sensitivity to different people. So remember the platinum rule, not only the golden rule. All right. Now, having said that, we learn differently and we process information differently. And we also have a difference in what we want on our real time. I personally happen to love finding a way to write something to translate perfectly. That was my driving force. It was something inside of me that I enjoyed and loved. And of course, today with software, there's a lot that can be automated. It can be an easier process than what I went through. Other people, if they get close, it's good enough. Some of you are perfectionists. You will never let go of the fact that you want it to look perfect. It won't. You can make it excellent, make it great. Court reporters are excellent, not perfect. That's one of my sayings. But you get to do whatever you want. If you are a perfectionist, I mentioned it earlier, you are hard to live with. And take a look at it. If it's working in your life, absolutely keep doing what it is you're doing. If it's not working in your life, take a look at possibilities and other things you can be doing. And this is especially in real time. Okay, now let's go to our writing shortcuts and super briefs. Here are some guidelines. A guideline is not a rule. You don't have to do what the guideline says. Here's the picture. We're on page 2 where it says guidelines. Use an asterisk implementing specific guidelines such as an asterisk in proper names, like Bill and Bill. I will send you a bill next week. My cousin Bill is coming over. How easy to add the asterisk. Use an asterisk for initial caps, such as Avenue, Street, Way, Park, Officer, Lieutenant. You live on Main Street? What street did you drive on? Obviously, we want a small s or a capital S. Asterisk in capital letters. Use an asterisk for animals, like doe and doe, deer and deer. You might like that. And use an asterisk for instant briefs. If you are doing captioning, where they're talking a lot about Robin Williams being in the news a lot, you could write ROMS, make up a brief for Robin Williams. Take the first part of it, the last part of it, add an asterisk, a single stroke. You're making up briefs all the time. You've got briefs for company names, you've got briefs for streets, cities, countries, whatever it is you're reporting, briefs, many briefs for medical terminology. Absolutely, you want to do your briefs, and if you're doing a single stroke with an asterisk, it's a technique that can be very helpful. By the way, there's a fabulous software called SearchMaster. Some of you might have it. Some of you might have heard of SearchMaster. Some of you might never have heard of SearchMaster. It is a software for court reporters. It contains over 17 million entries. It's a lookup program, an instant lookup program. You've got wildcards for asterisks. You could put in 5 or 6 wildcards so that if you only know a few letters of a sound or a word, you could put R-A asterisk, L asterisk, I-N-G, or whatever the word is, or the phrase. It gives you instant research capabilities, which obviously you could never do that on Google. On Google, you need almost all the letters. This program does so many more things. They've got fabulous indexing features, and you all know about indexing features when you could do an index on a job. And of course, you could take 5 or 6 court reporters' jobs. If you are court reporter number 7 on a trial or on a series of depositions, take those first 5 or 6 depositions or those first 5 or 6 transcripts from a trial You can put them all on Search Master, boom, 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 like that. You have a searchable database of every word that was written on that case. Actually, you can put every one of your transcripts over the last 10 or 20 or 30 years in, and you could have a searchable database of every word you've ever written in your entire life. Instantly. Yeah, I did an asbestos case, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago. And I remembered it had a lot of long words that I researched in it. I don't remember what they are. But now you've got a new asbestos case. You have instant access to everything instantly. An attorney's name, all kinds of things. Why do I mention this? Because not only is it a fabulous software, but imagine those 5 or 6 court reporters who did depositions on the same case, or who did trial work on the same case, and you take those deposition transcripts or those trial transcripts, put them in Search Master. Do you know that you can make an index of all of those, but not necessarily, you can do alphabetical, everybody does an alphabetical index, not only alphabetical, you can do frequency. So you've got 8 pages of index, right? But they use this name 463 times, this city 289 times, this name 197 times, this name 194 times, this other name 4 times. You can take a frequency index of a case you've done and create briefs for maybe the top 20 usages. So it gives you tremendous power when you prepare for a real-time case. I don't think we've talked about preparing for a real-time case, but hopefully you all know that you can do research in advance. It's always a very good thing. And there are many things that out there. There's the other transcripts, there's a brief, there's interrogatories, all types of different things that we can look at. And we can call sometimes paralegals from a law office and get information, get word lists in advance. This is just one more piece of software that we can use. So if anyone has a further interest in it, see me later. But I just want you to know these things do exist, and they are wonderful tools to help you with real time. Okay, so the asterisk. You could either have a wide key, and it could be an extended key on the right side, or it could be an extended key on the right and left side. And you can use the asterisk with the R or the F. Here's a little picture of a keyboard. Probably can't see it all that well, but there it is. And you can get an extended keyboard asterisk on the left R and the H, so that you can write your asterisk with an extension. If you've got a wide key, that's very, very nice. I personally do not have a wide key. I've been told you have to have a wide key. Isn't that wonderful? You get told things. I do not have a wide key, and I do real time just fine, and I use the asterisk all the time. We've illustrated in the middle of page 2. What do? Well, one thing you can do is an asterisk tab. And let me just show you what that is. Let's say I'm writing ROR. I write ROR together. Everybody can do that. We know that's a super easy stroke. But if I want to do ROR asterisk, if I have an extended key, no problem. But if I don't have an extended key, I can do a tab. ROR. Keep the left hand down. Lift the right index finger and tap the asterisk. As long as at least one key is depressed, your CAT software will read that as a single stroke. So it's ROR, lift the right index finger and tap the asterisk, and then let go to the left. Are you with me? Asterisk tap, bloop, and then let go. You might say, I don't have time. Speed champions use the asterisk tap all the time. So because of that, it does work. I'm telling you it works, okay? The second thing you can do is a shift. Now we all shift, we know that. For example, we were taught FPLT in school. Maybe it was, I don't know, lesson 5 or 6 in theory. We were taught to take that baby finger off the T and put it over to the D. Or take the baby finger and go on lower bank C, or Z, for the Canadians. Okay. Folks, we know how to shift. We type. We use a QWERTY keyboard. If you're saying to yourself, I don't know that word QWERTY, I'm not raising my hand. I don't want to ask in front of everybody. I understand. But your keyboard, your computer keyboard, right here, QWERTY. We used to call it a typewriter keyboard, but you young folks might not know what a typewriter is. So I call it a computer keyboard. But this keyboard is called a QWERTY keyboard. Now you know how to spell it, you know where it came from. And it's all caps. QWERTY. We know we shift. We know there's upper bank letters, we know there are lower bank letters, and we also know that we can go up 2 banks to the numbers. We know how to shift. Since we know how to shift, and we do our baby finger shift already, and some of us use the Philadelphia shift, which is shifting the ring finger and the baby finger. For example, SD. Okay? If you write SD in one stroke, your ring finger goes on the S, your baby finger goes on the D. By the way, I do that myself. That's not the point. The point is we can shift. If we can shift, I know that you're going to agree with me that the word wash is a super easy word to write. W-A-R-B. W-A-ish, right? Wash. You're not going to misstroke that word. Ergonomically, it's very comfortable. So if you're writing W-A-R-B and it's ergonomically comfortable, lower bank, index finger, middle finger, chances are we're not going to misstroke that. I don't know about you, but sometimes I drag my L. If I hit the letter T, I drag the L accidentally. Yes? Okay. Why not shift the ergonomically comfortable fingers? So you can write the asterisk with the right index finger and the middle finger R. Asterisk, right index finger, middle finger on the R. Shift your whole hand a full set of keys to the left. There's no law against it. Feels good. And that's a possibility. So that's what we mean by the shift under asterisk on page 2. And every time you go make up a new word or a new phrase, have you ever been to a seminar where they have something called like a steno swap, where people share their brilliant ideas, a way to write different words or phrases? I write this way. Oh, that's good. I write that way. Oh, I like that. I write this word like this. I put an asterisk here. Oh, I do an asterisk. Oh, I can write that phrase like that. Oh, I write this thing. Great, 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 great. I love it. 5 weeks later, you're writing, and you heard that word. Wait a minute. I got a great brief for that word. That's not it. That's not it. What's that brief? There it is. Now you've just missed a sentence and a half. My message to you, and what I personally believe to be vitally important, is master every new word or phrase that you write. Take the time to give yourself a thorough theory lesson. If you don't, it messes up your brain. You don't need to hear what somebody is doing and the way you write a fantastic word or the way you write a fabulous brief. That's not what it's about. It might sound great, but if I don't write it for 2 years, what value is it to me? Don't adopt just everything you see or hear. If you do hear something, or you see something, or you invent something that you love, that you think will be great, I'll give you an example. How many freelancers are in the room? Okay. How many of you write the phrase, not calculated to lead to the discovery of admissible evidence? Yes? No? Anybody write that phrase? Maybe they don't do that in Texas. They do it in California. They do, and you've written that phrase.
Occasionally, not a lot.
How many strokes do you write that? In. Okay. Here's my point. If you don't write it often, don't create a shortcut. But something that you think of that you do write often? Anybody think of anything that you write often? Not one thing.
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas.
Say it slowly and so I can hear you.
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas.
Oh.
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas. Is that correct? Does anybody write that phrase? Yes? Okay, a few people do. How many strokes?
2.
4.
Name.
2, name, and 4. Okay. Why not 1?
Okay, fine.
I love it. He's cool. I tell you, my kind of guy. All right, so you've got a phrase that you write all the time. Think about it and create a single stroke. You might add the asterisk. In the name and by the authority
Of the state of Texas.
of the state of Texas, I might write NAX. The name of Texas, NAX. I might write NAX with an asterisk. It depends on my mood. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I add an asterisk. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, no asterisk. I just say, whatever comes to you. That's what maybe I would. I love it when you do this work in real time because every stroke you write, you see if it's been predefined. But you see, does this make sense to you? So that the next time you hear that phrase, you're going to have that. You don't want to forget it. Put it in a real-time word log book. If you don't want to use a real-time word log book, that's great. It doesn't matter to me. You could use a phone book. What is this book? A to Z. Here's the L page. It's just an A to Z. I would go to the I and put in the name and by the authority, whatever the phrase is, and then I would put NAX because it says word steno. The English part and then the steno. If you use an address book, you'll get name, address, phone number, and email address. And that's okay. But this happens to be designed for us. And this book is usually $15, but if anybody wants it, I'll sell it this weekend here for $10. I can't bring a lot with me. I think I only brought 2 or 3 with me. If anybody wants it, I've got 3. I hope 2. Well, I have 2 sitting here. I think there's a 3rd. Take it, no shipping charge. If you do want it with a shipping charge, then you pay the shipping. Anyway, the point is, have something. Take it seriously. Every new word, every new phrase, put it somewhere. I used to use Post-it notes, and I'd write on my calendar or my worksheet, whatever. Scribble here and scribble there, notes here, notes there. All cattywampus. When you have it in one place, look how this can serve you. It fits in your writer case. It fits in your laptop case. Every morning you start your day, you flip through the book. Start with the A's. Just write the new word. Dun, dun, dun. Turn to the B's. Dun, dun, dun. And the C's. Turn the page. Dun, dun, dun. Oh yeah, yeah. Don't give it a lot of energy. You don't need to go. So, you know. In the state of Texas, in the state of Texas, in the state of Texas. No, give yourself joy. Come on, we're into happiness. You write it once. You go through the book. Tomorrow, 5-10 minutes before you start your job, go through the book again. A to Z. Just write it once. Easy. The next day, write it once. The next day, write it once. By the 4th or 5th day, you can take a yellow highlighter and say, oh, I know that word. I finally got that one. I got it. You got it. Done. Okay? So it's just an idea, and you'll add to the word log book. So as I said, make your own, find something, or get one of these. It doesn't matter. I don't care. You're not going to get poor spending $10 on this book. And I'm not going to get rich collecting $10 on this book. So it isn't about the money, it's about the process. It's about taking it seriously when you go to add any new word. Does that make sense, folks? Okay. So that is the reinforce with a word log book system or an effective daily review. You see, when you review something new every day very quickly, and at the end of the week you've gotten 1 or 2 of them, you keep reviewing the next week, and then you'll get a few more. And then you'll keep reviewing, and before you know it, you will have mastered the new words painlessly, easily, and you're having a little fun doing it. The more fun we can put into our job, the sweeter life is. Okay, on the next page, what is that, 3, page 3. Apply the big ugly where applicable. What is a big ugly? Well, you've decided to change your writing because you have a conflict. I'll give you an example. How many of you write FPLT for the period? Okay. How many of you have one way and only one way to write that period? FPLT. Okay. Okay. How many of you write FRPLT as a period? FPLTS as a period? FRPBLT as a period? FLT as a period? FPL as a period? FPT as a period? You have about 15 ways to write your period. You've defined them. You're not conscious of it. It works just fine. Right? Okay. How many of you stack the period? You have a stacking problem. I see a lot of nods, yes. Yes, and we're not going to get big into stacking other than to tell you that it could have something to do with the writer you are using. There are writers on the market today where there is almost no stacking or very little stacking. So you might want to check out writers. Not only that, but there's another technique that you can use to eliminate or drastically avoid stacking. Again, a picture of the keyboard. What you can do is access both sides of the keyboard. What do I mean by that? Well, use something on the left and use something on the right. I'll give you an example. The final D is the ED ending, right? Mommy braided Susie's hair. We've got braid and then the D, second stroke. And some of you might stack that second D. For example, anybody ever get a stack like, I want to do it tomorrow? And the to do might be TOD, or it could be the word today, accidentally, which I suggest TAOD, not TOD. I want to do it tomorrow. Or, I wanted to see my friend. So when you write wanted, if you write want and then the second stroke, D, and then the TO, I wanted to TO, see my friend, but you stacked and you got TOD on one stroke. Can anybody relate? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Here is a challenge. Remember, we're not supposed to say problem. We're supposed to say challenge. Here is a challenge. You can do final D as your ED, but if you activate both sides of the keyboard, you will greatly reduce or eliminate the stacking problem. What if you redefined your final D? And you made it, you could make it HD, PD, TD, KD, DD. A lot of people like DD, they like the final D, DD. Do you see, using the right and left side of the keyboard, how that is helpful? If you change your ED ending, I know that D is comfortable and easy to write. If it's giving you writing problems, it needs to change. And the reason is it's too frequent. We should be writing clean. And I told you earlier that I write very clean. And the reason I write clean is because I cheat. I do little funny tricks. I'm just not this perfect writer. I've learned how to compensate it. This is one of the things that I do to compensate. If I find a repeating error on something simple, like an ED ending, what you can do is change your ED ending to the DD, or pick any letter. You can do KD if you'd like. Doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is use something on the left and use something on the right.
Do you mean like after you write want, you hit both of those D's on your second stroke?
Yes.
The initial D, final D.
Exactly. If I wanted to visit my friend, I want, and the second D is DD, the TKD in one stroke. Are you with me?
Yeah.
This is a technique. It might sound hard. It might sound, oh, I can't do that. It might sound, oh, whatever. But it's like everything else. I don't know about you, but when I went to theory class and they told me that the SKWR was a J, I said, no, it's not. There's no way you can get a J from SKWR. And they said, yes, SKWR is a J. I could not wrap my head around it. It did not make sense. I fought it and I argued. And guess who won? They did. Folks, if you can learn that, you can learn TKPW for a G. You can learn anything. And by the way, when I give presentations to attorneys and judges, I show them a little sign that I have. The word judge, I do it in English, judge, and I show them SKWRUPBLG. And that's how you write, a court reporter writes the word judge. Well, I took literary license, we do J, but whatever. But it gives them the idea of the J sound at the beginning and end. We can do anything if we choose to. So if you want to do the ED ending, change it. Here is the technique. Let's pretend you decide to do TKD. And you're going to define it, eclipse, caret, ED. Case, suffix, ED. And I told you it automatically will give you your OR, ER, etc. Or no, that's right. It'll give you clean spelling. It will double a consonant, it will drop a letter, it will change a Y to I and add ED. It does all kinds of wonderful things. Your software does that. Okay. Now you're changing your stroke to this final D. Here is a very effective technique that many court reporters have learned. I work a lot with private people, one-on-one training, and in Vegas at my home, or I will fly to somebody. One gal was 6 months pregnant and had a 1-year-old at home, and she wanted me to fly to her. She didn't want to up the family or do whatever she needed to do to fly to Vegas. I went to Florida and trained her for 3 days. But when I'm doing my private training, I've done this a lot, and I've watched the process, and I've had a lot of feedback in the last several years since I created this idea. And I call it the big ugly. What is a big ugly? You take your final D, in this case. That's your steno. Here is your English definition. Straight bracket, ED ending is TKD. Straight bracket. You put that in English. Well, I kind of made it lopsided here. Forget this. But this whole thing goes in your English definition. That's why I call it a big ugly. Because let me tell you, that's very ugly. Especially if you're going to write that 168 times in one day. Because you're going to forget. Anything new that you're going to change. If it lends itself to a big ugly, give yourself a big ugly definition. You might say to yourself, oh, I could never do that in real time. And why not? Well, they might see it. Who's they? What's this might? If you are being paid for an 0-6 expedited real time on a construction case, I agree with you. If that's the nature of your real time, I wouldn't do a big ugly that day. But would you say maybe 99% of your writing, whether it's real time or not, is not in front of all those people? You can do this. It takes you 1 to 2 days to break the habit. Maybe 3 at the most. A great way to break a habit quickly is to give yourself a big ugly. It looks goofy. After about the 3rd or 4th time, you start cussing at your screen. You know, you're writing along, you hit the D. Oh, forgot. You're writing along, hit the D. You see that enough, and one day you hit DD. And when you hit the DD, you go, yes, got it. Yay, high five to me. So exciting. It's the craziest thing. What makes us excited? These silly little things. But it's a great way to break a habit. So if you like the idea of the big ugly, use it. It does not work all the time, because maybe the final D would be something different and you can't give it a big ugly, but play with the idea. That is the idea. And I'm going to give you a hint, all right? The hint is the answer to the next question is yes. Loud, it's a loud yes. How many of you would like to know what captioners use for a period? Yes?
Yes.
Oh, I thought so. I only say captioners because I consider them to be the elite, the highest level, the creme de la creme geniuses of real time. Wouldn't you agree? They have mastered the skill to the highest possible level. And obviously on the air, they don't want ugly big things to come up. And one of them is a period that's misstroked. How many of you have written a sentence like, I will go to the stormont? You get MENT as a suffix. Anybody relate to that one? Yes, why? Because you wrote PLT. You meant to write a period, you missed the F. Well, you do one of two things. You either change your MENT ending to MENT, or if you're keeping the PLT, then you can change your period. Many or most of them change their period because of misstroking. They go to PP. It's in your handout. That's what the PP is. They change the period to a PP. Middle finger, upper bank, ergonomically very comfortable. Comma, WB. Ergonomically, lower bank, comfortable. WB, middle finger, lower bank, middle finger, upper bank. It's about ergonomics. And you'll probably not misstroke those letters. That's the best part. So because a comma and a period come up all the time, we want a very clean way to write those. Okay? So, for whatever that's worth, if you like this idea on changing your period, do it. But if you do, create a big ugly for the FPLT. Do a big ugly that a period is P-P. So every time you hit that FPLT or other letters that are similar, you'll have this big ugly definition. Within maybe 2 days, you will have solved it, or 3. A very quick learning curve. Questions? Yes?
I don't understand what the two things are in the middle on your chart. Is that how you enter your big ugly? The brackets?
Yeah, you know what, let me write this again.
Well, I'm
and
just wondering what those were. Was that how you're entering it into your dictionary?
all right, yeah, and Jeff, I'm going to rewrite this. Keep taking this to ED here. Let me just rewrite this. That's the suffix of the ED, and here's the big ugly. The final D, sternum. You used to have this defined as ED ending, whatever your software does. I'm suggesting your new English definition is
So you're essentially giving yourself a note.
exactly. This is a note to yourself. Does that make sense? Well, it really doesn't, but you know what I mean. You understand the concept here.
You'll be deleting a lot.
You'll be deleting a lot. You better
That's
believe
exactly
it.
right.
Lots of editing. Lots of editing. Yes. Okay.
That could work too.
But imagine 2 or 3 days later, once you finally get it,
Yeah, deleting.
then it's a treat. But until then, of course, it's going to be a big ugly. That's why I called it that. Yes.
So what is the definition in ProCat?
ProCat, your suffix is a tilde ed for the ed ending. You use a tilde first and then your suffix. Like ing, it would be tilde ing. Ist, it would be tilde ist. That's the ProCat definition. Okay, the bonus concept is referring to stacking problems, and it explains and reminds you what we just talked about when we redefined the ED ending. Do you follow this? Okay, great. Are there any other questions? Okay. Easy to remember conflict solutions. Use EA for AE words. Use AE for EA words. Old school did not always teach that. Old school used to teach, write what you hear, and then the context will tell you how to spell it. Thank you very much, English teachers and steno teachers. That was before computers. They did their best. It doesn't work anymore, not when we're writing for computers. Follow the English spelling where applicable. I'll give you an example. Have you ever listened to the music of Neil Diamond? N-E-I-M? So you could do N long E-L, Neil. And how about Neil Armstrong, the fabulous astronaut, N-E-A-L. And that would be N-A-E-L with an asterisk. And we do use an asterisk in the proper names because are you going to kneel at the altar? Now we have a regular word, kneel. So it just gives you a little bit of idea on how to handle those homophones. Delete a vowel or add an asterisk to obvious words, such as, if I gave you this sentence, you would not even think about it, you'd just write it. I saw him walk down the street yesterday. Yeah, and what's your point? What are you talking about? I saw him walk down the street yesterday. But if I said a different sentence, and I said, they sang a beautiful hymn in church, I'm not going to stop and say, hymn in church. Let's see, H-Y-M-N. Should I put an asterisk in that word, or should I do it without it? We don't think like that. We know the word hymn, pronoun hymn, is either final M or it's H-I-M. And we know that a word that's unusually spelled with a Y and a silent letter, it ends in an N, etc. When it's got letters like a Q or a Y or a K, an unusual type of a spelling, we add an asterisk to that word. So you would do hymn, probably H-I-M with the asterisk. They sang a beautiful hymn in church. So the obvious word, you will add an asterisk. Okay? Make sense? Yes. All right, I probably didn't even need to tell you that. How many of you write NK words the same as NG words? Bang, bank. Sang, sank. Teacher said, write NG, PPG, and let the context tell you how to spell it. Well, again, that's not crispy, clean, real time. And there are many things some people do. Some people add an asterisk to the NG, and you can, and if you do that, I'm going to say you can keep it if you'd like. What I suggest is adding the index finger. Add the index finger. So you've got your NG, PBG. Add the index finger, it becomes FR, FR, PBG. That works beautifully for the NK words. We have drill CDs that review this and give you theory lessons on it all. Words, phrases, sentences. If anybody's interested, they can get that kind of drill. But for now, I'm just introducing you to these ideas. And we've been talking on the break, and there seems to be expressed an interest for me to bring my live workshop to Houston. So I'm thinking about maybe the third week in September. It's a possibility. And if I do, it's going to be near the airport, near Hobby. And the reason is, I'm all about me. I don't care about you. No. Hobby is near Southwest Airlines Airport, not IAH. So I happen to like Hobby. I like Southwest. I'm a Southwest kind of gal. So it might be at a hotel near that hotel. Does that sound like something people might be interested in? Well, you'll be hearing from me. I have all of your email addresses. Okay. Is there anybody here who definitely does not want me to ever email them either a newsletter or information? Okay. If you do not want me to mail, see me privately. I'll be happy to not put you on my list. I have zero emotion on that because I undelete from a lot of lists. And it's not that I don't love them dearly. So I don't want to get those emails for whatever reason. I get too many. Okay. I know you don't, but I do. We all do, don't we?
Yeah, we all.
Okay, did you have something to
No.
add? You're good.
I just want to be deleted. I'm not on a computer, so it's, yeah.
Okay, but my information is interesting. Sometimes I put in interesting tidbits and stories. I featured Nick Vajicic in his book in one of my newsletters once, so you might like it. And you're always absolutely welcome to opt out anytime. Okay. So, are you still reporting?
Yes.
Are you a pen writer?
No, I'm not that old.
I heard there was a pen writer here today. Is there a pen writer in the room? Jeff told me there was one pen writer here today. Okay.
And in spite of what people may think, I did not do the original tablets for Moses.
You didn't? To repeat his comment, this wonderful gentleman, your name is?
Tony.
Tony. What's your last name, Tony?
Bayamonte.
Bayamonte?
Bayamonte.
Tony Bayamonte did not write the final tablets that Moses brought in. By the way, for the video, he does not even look that old. He's adorable.
I'm older than you.
Older than me? Really? Well, you don't look it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Clean living.
Clean living, wonderful spirit, gorgeous smile. That's fabulous. All right, Tony. Okay, so looking at our NK endings, read this. It's all in your handout. You can practice it. This is a little of this is taken from my workbook that I do at the workshop. Writing distinction for prefixes and suffixes. We give you some ideas. You can read this at your leisure. It says use an asterisk in prefixes but not suffixes. If you've learned Stenette, you write an asterisk in suffixes. What should you do? Keep your asterisk in suffixes. A guideline is not a rule. It's only a guideline. If you like it, use it. If you want to do the opposite, perfect. You don't need to do it this way. Do what's comfortable for you. But what's wonderful is not to stop and hesitate. Let's see. Do I put an asterisk here or do I put an asterisk there? You want to eliminate hesitation. That's the goal. And you can read all of these. Drop the vowel, apply the JY principle, etc. You can read these different ideas. Yes?
I was just going to ask, what is the JY principle? It looks like it's explained later on. But
Okay, the JY principle is not explained later on. That's a great question.
Okay.
Because I explain it. It takes me 45 minutes in a live workshop to explain it. But I'm going to still tell you.
Oh, thank you.
Give you a little peek. We'll take the word over. I will tell you there are many words that start with over. Overbroad, overabundance, overlook, overcome, oversee. Actually, overseas. Two different overseas. Over is a very common prefix. OEFR or OFR, whatever, however you write over. Over is also a very common suffix. Moreover, you know, different types of words that end in over. What you can do is you can learn to write jover for the prefix. Single stroke. You don't need to edit later. You don't need to add an extra stroke like a delete space. Jover broad, jover come, jover abundant, jover see. Add the J for a prefix. The suffix, add a Y, yover. Okay? So that's the concept. And you can practice it, and it's something that we talk a lot about, and it's, obviously I can't give you a full handout here, but that's what it is. It was a great question. I'm happy to answer it for you. Okay. Bonus concept of delete space stroke and an add a space stroke. If you think I'm zipping right along, I am. And I have a reason. Inflected endings, write them separately. The ED, ING, ER, plurals, S. The reason I say inflected endings, write them separately is there are times when that will serve you well to add a plural, to add an ING. Can you write them all in one stroke? Absolutely. Absolutely. For example, mommy bakes a cake. You might write B-A-I-K-S or B-A-I-K-Z, one stroke. Perfect. Definitely use those one stroke outlines for a word that might use an ING ending. But there are times when we need the second stroke. So it's just a matter of making sure that the inflected endings are defined whenever you do need it. Shortcuts for alphabets, use as few fingers as possible, know your software and its automated alphabet techniques. I can't stress that enough. Sometimes you can do one trigger stroke and it'll add the little hyphens, one trigger stroke it'll capitalize the word, one trigger stroke and it will do all types of different things, okay? But we also can generate different styles by writing different alphabets, A, B, C, D, E with a period, A, B, C, D, E with a comma, or FPLT, RBGS, asterisk, etc. Writing numbers easier, we have a whole section on numbers. I'm going to tell you the simplest, cleanest way to write numbers. Are you ready? Delete, 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 delete. If you are on a modern software, the more you delete, the cleaner your numbers. Who has clean numbers and they come out great looking? You all need to be in my workshop. Okay. The more you delete, the happier you're going to be. I'll give you an example. There were 5,925 people in the stadium. Some people get this. Etc. The word 100, whatever. Some people get all kinds of goofy translations. You go back, edit it out, clean it up. You want to be able to write beautifully, and you can. Absolutely, there are techniques so you cut your editing time. How many of you love to edit for extra hours? How many of you have nothing else to do with your life? You don't have children, or you don't want to spend any time with them or go places, and you just have all that extra time, don't you, you little stinker? Okay. Well, take up knitting. That's fun, too. No, but seriously, some of you, if you really love editing, then edit for other people, because a lot of people don't like editing. All right. What you can do is delete, 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 delete. Why did this translate like this? Because at some point in the past, before we knew better, maybe in the 80s or the 90s, we did the best we could. We thought this was the way to define 5,000. No, out. When you delete these numbers that have been predefined, out, 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 all you want in your dictionary is 0 to 99. That you want in there, and that's it. Let your software put numbers together. And there's more detail. I'm just giving you one quick idea here. Cleaning out your dictionary or your database by deleting these predefined numbers is a good thing. Keep 1 to 99 in there. And you can write several styles of numbers. You can write Roman numerals. You can write code sections. How many of you work in court? Do you do a lot of code sections? Do you do like 647A3? Yeah. The 3. Don't you want no space paren, 3 ends paren? Do you have a definition for no space, delete space, paren, 3, and paren? How simple. You do bloop, and you get that to translate for you. That's the idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm offering you, just to give you a little bit of information here, on page 6, ways to write years in single stroke. I know some of you write your years in more than one stroke. It is wonderful to write years in a single stroke. If you write out your numbers, how many number writer hours are in the room? You write your numbers out. Okay, great. Oh no. You write your numbers out in words. Okay. Add the asterisk. Whatever your word is, add the asterisk. And you can define that as your year. How many number bar people are in the room? You use the number bar. Oh, so some of you don't even write numbers at all. So if they say a number, you sit there like a rock. I saw 87 books yesterday. I saw books yesterday. Not going to write a number. Don't feel like it. All right. So if you use the number bar, here are techniques, and you can study this at your leisure, but you can use the number bar for writing out numbers and go to page 7. We're offering you a few ideas. A single stroke with the number bar. And you can define it with the numbers. Follow the pattern, practice it. And on the far right, apostrophe 02, apostrophe 04. Were you born in 67 or 68? We want apostrophe. Do you want to know what some court reporters do? I mean, they're dear, wonderful people, but I don't think it's very fair. They'll write 67 like that. Oh, isn't that nice? Where do you live? I live at 21967 Main Street. Some court reporters write that. That's not fair. 67 should have his own plain number to be able to be part of another group of numbers. So my suggestion to you is add the asterisk, create a stroke, where you can do the apostrophe and number in one stroke. I know some of you write a symbol for an apostrophe. You might write AE. You could write whatever it is you write. It's okay, it's an extra stroke. I love teaching less strokes. How many of you like less strokes? Everybody raise your hands because it's all fun. It's just pure fun. And all of this, when you undo and redo and relearn, it's so much fun. So that's what I like to share with you. Okay, create briefs on the fly. We've talked about the wildcard OIG and know your software. See if it suggests a brief for you. I personally like to do my own briefs. And easy ways to write long words. Use the first and last sound of a long word you want to create as a single stroke. Obviously, it's something you're going to write often that day, or maybe often in your career. But like when I said Robin Williams, I did the R-O, Robin Williams, MS. R-O-M-S does not trans anything. Just do R-O-M-S or R-O asterisk M-S. And you could create a long word like that as Robin Williams. And again, put it somewhere where you will be able to remember it and learn it and use it often if it's something you're going to write often. If it's a quick brief for the day, of course, you'll put it on your calendar or your word log or your worksheet or whatever it is you're using. So those are just ways that you can write. You'll notice I kind of went at a clip, at a good speed. There's a reason. Because I told you earlier that I was going to share one more Olympic story with you. And I don't want to forget it. And I am making notes when I say I'm going to tell you something that I do tell you. Okay? Sylvie Frechette. Has anybody heard of Sylvie Frechette? If I were to ask this question in Canada, every hand would go up. Sylvie Frechette, God bless you. Sylvie Frechette, a young lady from Montreal, Canada. As a young child, loved swimming. Took like a fish to water in the swimming pool. And as she grew up, she ended up loving synchronized swimming specifically. She entered competitions as a little girl, around 12 years old, and found that this was her passion. She'd enter all kinds of competitions, and she almost always would come in second. She came in second because Carolyn Waldo would come in first. As a matter of fact, Carolyn Waldo even once said in a newspaper article that Sylvie Frechette would never make it. She would never be number one. She would never be a superstar. Sylvie Frechette read that. And did it bother her? Did it really? How important was that little sentence? Remember the two people who choose the response of the difficult people? She chose to ignore it. Okay? Her dream was to go to the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona, Spain. That was her dream. Sylvie, along the way, suffered a terrible tragedy. Her grandpa died. Her grandpa was her staunch supporter. Her grandpa never got to see how far she could go in life. He was always there for her, all through her growing up. Sylvie tried out for the Olympics in 1992. She passed, she made the team. As a matter of fact, Carolyn Waldo retired that year, and Sylvie Frechette was #1. She was #1 worldwide. She was the one the cameras were focused on. 24 years old, engaged to be married to her true love, Sylvan Lake, her fiancé, her soulmate, her heartthrob. A week before the Olympics, Sylvie went to work and went to practice and came home like every other day. But she walked in to something very, very different. She found Sylvan Lake dead. He committed suicide.
Oh.
He left a note. To tell you she was devastated is an understatement. She was devastated beyond words, beyond description. She called her coach, she called her psychologist. They came over immediately to be with her, to console her, and to help her through the next few days, through the planning and the whole process of what people go through whenever someone does pass. They made all of the arrangements, they did everything, and a few days later, just before she's getting ready to leave, the thought process in Sylvie's mind never was, should I go? It was never, should I go? It was, how am I ever going to get through this? She went. She had a plane ticket. She flew to Barcelona from Montreal. She performed her first swim, and she did a magnificent job. It was brilliant. She got great scores. She did her second swim, another magical performance. She was phenomenal. Her third swim, wow, another extraordinary performance. She gets out of the water and does a cheer, a victory sign, a huge smile. I actually have pictures of her on my computer, but we're not up on a board, so I cannot show them to you right now. If anybody wants to see it, I'll show it to you on a break. Her huge smile, she looks over at her judge to get that high five, to get that air fist bump or the whatever, the victory sign. But that's not what happened. She looks over and her judge is deep in conversation. What's going on? There is something going on in conversation. Finally, her judge catches her eye and motions to her, go to your condo. Don't talk to anybody. Don't do anything else. Go to the condo. I will meet you there later. Sylvie didn't know what's going on, but she went to the condo and waited. Her coach came later and explained to her that what happened was there was an error. The voting on the third swim went something like this. These aren't the exact scores, but you'll get the idea. 9.9, 9.8, 9.9, 9.9, 9.8, 9.9, 9.9, and 8.9. As soon as the score was registered, the judge from South America said, wait, I hit the wrong button. I meant to give her a 9.9. It registered as 8.9. It turns out the head of the Olympic Committee is a man from Japan. He did not speak Spanish. He did not speak Portuguese. He did not speak French. He did not speak English. He spoke Japanese. He did not understand what happened. The score stood. Everyone appealed it, fought it, did whatever they could to change the score, including the judge from South America. The score stood. Now, Sylvie had a lead. She was way ahead going into the final swim. And by the way, she had one more swim after this bad score. She was almost flawless, perfect again. Absolutely genius, brilliant. For the final scores, there was not enough of a 10-point fractional lead to get the gold medal. Sylvie received a silver medal. They did not play the Canadian national anthem at the awards ceremony. She was not on the highest step. She won second step, silver. When they put the silver medal around Sylvie's neck, her smile was absolutely huge. You would think, my goodness, how could that girl be so happy? She was elated. She also learned how to live in the moment. She went back to a ticker tape parade in Canada. The news media greeted her, and one of the questions that was asked of her was, how is it that you could be so joyful and have such a smile when it was so unfair that you did not receive the gold medal? It was so unfair, and not only that, but you've gone through so much in your personal life recently. I thought her answer was classic. Her answer was, I had a goal. When I went to the Olympics, my goal was to do my very best. I cannot control the world around me. I cannot control things that happen. I can only control me. I did my personal best. I can't do more than that. If it resulted in a silver medal, so be it. I say to you, when you go to take any test, if you're going to take your RMR or your RPR, or of course your already Texas CSRs, or any test, are you going to do your best? Are you going to prepare and prepare fabulously? Are you going to prepare like an Olympic champion? Are you going to be the very, 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 very best you can be? You cannot control the results. You cannot control what's going to happen to you. But you can be proud and joyful and wear that huge smile for yourself. It turns out that, yes.
You know, when you do that, just when you say to yourself, I'm going to do my best, and that's all I can do, it really relieves a lot of stress when you say that to yourself. It does for me.
Isn't that wonderful? Thank you. Thank you. To repeat, your name is?
Deborah.
Deborah. Deborah just said, when you say to yourself, I'm going to do my very, very best, and that's it, you relieve a lot of stress for yourself. It makes you be able to take a breath and to breathe. It's a wonderful feeling, and absolutely. Thank you for articulating that beautifully and for our record. I appreciate that. Okay. So that's it. Part of why I say this is I've seen an awful lot of people fail the CRR. When I took it in 1993 and 1994, I had several friends who were superstar court reporters and superstar real-time writers, and they failed the test. They couldn't believe it. What do you mean I failed? Yeah. You know, they are superstars. Some people say that's the easiest test you'll ever fail. They'd go home in tears. They would sob for a week. They're devastated. They're crushed. You put that kind of an energy on a test? Come on. We have a full life that we're living. For me personally, my criteria is let my grandchildren and my children be safe and sound. And if they aren't, let them be in good hands. Let there be the very best possible medical whatever is going on. I mean, let's all, of course, always do our best. But anything other than my little precious family, and of course my husband, but anything other than my precious people and health, what is important? What are you doing? Why are you stressing? Because the steak is too well done. Well, I'll admit, I like it medium rare. And if I order it medium rare and it's too well done, I will return it. I'm one of those ugly Americans. But I'll return it politely. And I'll try to say to myself, they were probably very busy. Maybe they brought me the wrong one. Maybe he didn't realize he was overcooking it. You want to know the truth? That stupid cook. How could he cook it so long? I just say, we do what we do, but watch your stress level. Do you really need to go to that place called that stupid idiot? How many of you have driven near a stupid idiot who cut you off? How many of you are stupid idiots who cut somebody else off? You just don't know it. Why do you get upset with other drivers? Whose blood pressure goes up? You know those negative thoughts and feelings take 12 hours to get out of your system. Why are you doing that to yourself? The other person is driving away, la la la, listening to the fun music or doing whatever. They have no idea you're upset. Why would you do that to yourself? It's not easy. You hate waiting in line. You're going to the DMV. Oh my God, waiting for 45 minutes and it's still a line. I want to leave. Oh, you just want to bolt. That's all. If I bolt, I have to come back. All right. Why aren't you well prepared to be in line? Why aren't you listening to great music or a good book on tape, on audio, on an iPod or something? Why don't you have a book or something to read? Why don't you visit with your neighbor? Why don't you find out if there's somebody very interesting in line with you? Why don't you shift your life experience or go to that place called gratitude and make a list of 10 things that are fabulous in your life, including, thank you God I have good hands. I have a brain that works. I do this every day with my husband because we are very grateful. This man walks and talks, drives, runs errands, and treats me like a queen and does all kinds of wonderful things for me at 83. I'm very grateful. You know how many people have had strokes? They're not in that condition. So sometimes we have to stop whatever's going on and go to that gratitude place. Let me tell you something. You shift your energy on the inside and you shift your thought processes and it's wonderful. I was talking about this on a break earlier. I strongly recommend that you listen to Jim Rohn, and that's R-O-H-N. How many of you have heard of Jim Rohn? Oh, several of you. Okay, then you know how fabulous he is, right? But you can get his audios, you can get his books. We have an old cassette, VCR series. It's called The Best Year of Your Life. It's been transferred from video, VHS, to audio files, etc. It's timeless, but it's a marvelous series. It's about, I don't know, maybe 8-10 hours long. And we used to wake up every morning and listen to Jim Rohn. And another one is Jack Canfield. You listen to Jack Canfield every day for a month or a year, oh, your life changes. Yeah?
I have no idea.
You know Jack. How many of you have heard of Jack Canfield? Okay. How many of you have heard of Chicken Soup for the Soul?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He is one of the authors, him and Mark Victor Hansen. But Jack has marvelous, marvelous insights and audios and videos. And check YouTube. I don't know. But folks, there is so much good stuff we can do for our brains and for ourselves. Some of you had mentioned to me on the break that you liked what I said, but it's not easy to change a habit. These aren't your habits. You haven't heard this very much. Well, you're exposed to it. Add to it. Some of you might have heard Zig Ziglar from the olden days. He's passed away probably, 5 years ago, something like that. And there are so many wonderful people out there. And you could certainly give yourself gifts by listening to these wonderful people. For example, who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? If you're the smartest one, you need new friends. You want to be around people where you can grow, where you can learn. Has anybody ever heard of a mastermind group? No. Okay, I got another book for you. I know you've heard of this book, but that's okay. I'll tell you, I just picked it up again and I'm starting to read it. And I was thinking, yeah, I've read that. Oh yeah, I read that. That's a good book. I picked it up recently, started reading it again, and I'm reading and I'm going, wow, nice reminder. Ooh, good point. And I'm thinking, why don't I read this book once every 5 years? I should. And I'm loving it. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. You've heard of it. Pick it up. Inexpensive, put it on a Kindle, go buy a used paperback, whatever. Very inexpensive. We're not talking money anymore when it comes to getting books. These are gifts that can totally transform your lives. You can double, triple your income. If you're single, if you want to be with a wonderful person, it's time. None of the self-talk that I gave myself for 16 years as a single woman. Oh, I'm not going to meet anybody. No, there's nobody for me. Oh, I'm too fat. I'm too old. No, I don't want to meet anybody. Oh, come on, Anita, you teach this stuff. What's the truth? Anita, what's your truth? I would love to meet a nice man and get married. I'd been dating a man for about 10 years. We all went to lunch one day. He's an attorney. And we went with some of his office staff. There were 5 of us at the table. I remember this clearly. And we're at the lunch talk visit. And I said, you know, I'd really like to meet a nice man and get married. And I just said that. I thought, enough of this old talk. Honest to God, it was a month later that I met Jim. And Jim looked at me. We were at a seminar in Las Vegas. And he looked down at the different people. He spotted me and he thought I was pretty. So he came up to me on a break and he said, he said, hi, I'm Jim. I said, I'm Anita. Hi. And we went back to our seats. It was time to go back to our seats. At the end of the seminar, he was buying a round of drinks for people. I was walking by, hey, come on over. I went over and he bought me a drink. I had a grasshopper. Still remember what I ordered. Definitely not my type. Number 1, too old. Number 2, he didn't have a chin. You know, like wrinkly chin? I don't like that. Wrinkly chin. Something I really like in men, well, in people in general, a normal, decent chin. By the way, I have gotten over that with the chin business. And nice teeth. I have a like nice teeth. And you know what? I have friends who don't have good teeth, and it's fine. I got over that one too. And then, but definitely not my type. He did something, we went to dinner, he invited me to dinner. He ended up joining my friend Lucille and me. The 3 of us had dinner together. Oh, not my type. 9 weeks later, we were married. And it is now 14 and a half years later. So, here's another message for you all. Never, never, never prejudge. You get a thought, you get an instinct, and in coaching single people, part of it is when you meet somebody and you don't like them, don't prejudge. If there are things about a person you don't like, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you don't want to go out with that person again, fine. Don't worry about it. Is it a moral issue? Does the guy have a record? Is he controlling? Is he nasty? Is he inconsiderate? Or is it stupid BS? I didn't realize it, but my husband is a wonderful man. And he loves me, and it doesn't matter what I do, he loves it. He's encouraging and supportive. I'm unlimited what I can accomplish in life. He is so complete as a human being that there's 0 measurement of I'm better than him, I'm more famous than him, I'm this or I'm that or whatever. He is complete totally as a human being. He doesn't make the money. He lost all his money in a swindle 2 years after we were married. Neither one of us dwelled more than 30 seconds. We never skipped a beat. I didn't marry him for his money, thank God. Because when he lost it, there was no problem in the marriage. That's just the way we are. He does 100%. How could I possibly want a man to do anything more? But that's just what works for us. What I do, it might not work for other people, and that's great too. But I know myself, I know what's important to me. And I have to tell you, I'm a little different than I was when I was 25 years old. What I was looking for back then. But anyway, so you don't prejudge. And how did I get off on that tangent? I don't know. Well, I was talking about the 5 most important people in your life. Are you in a good relationship? Are you in a wonderful, nurturing relationship? No? So you're in a bad relationship. You need to take charge of your life. You are not a victim, and you need to do what's going to work in your life. I am not telling you to break up and get a divorce. I will tell you that if you decide to break up and get a divorce, it is not easy. It is very, very difficult, and it can be painful. I'm not telling you to stay with somebody where it's not working, and it is very difficult. If you stay in a bad relationship, it is very, very difficult. It is not easy. So now we have a given. Life is difficult. It is not easy. And you get to choose what it is you're going to do about it. If you choose to break up with somebody, then you do it. You do what it takes. I gave this presentation for the first time in Florida many, many years ago at one of my workshops. At the end of the seminar, one of the young ladies and I were friends. She happened to be a drop-dead gorgeous, blonde, slim, adorable, fantastic personality, court reporter, and I'm looking at her through my eyes like this perfect person, the way we view people through our own filters. And her name is Lori. She knows I share the story. And I just said, so Lori, actually, we went in the jacuzzi together, and then we had dinner together, and I just said to her, so you have a wonderful husband who adores you, right? And she said, well, it doesn't take much to communicate, does it? We've already talked about that. You can roll your eyes. You can just shrug your shoulders. And I'm sitting here from my perspective, how can this fabulous young, wonderful young lady, educated, career, heart, soul, everything, go for second best? Or what is she doing in her life? And I'm thinking this, because that's how people think sometimes. Saying, Lori, she said, well, I know. Well, we chatted for a while. 3 months later, she wrote me an email. And she said, I filed for divorce. I just wanted you to know. And I'm thinking, because I want to see her have a wonderful life, right? She emails me, stays in touch with me all through the years. She met a lovely man. They ended up getting married. She now has 2 children. I'm always getting pictures of the children. Every time we either email or we talk, I say, does he treat you right? Does he treat you like a princess? She says he treats me fantastic every day. I can't believe how wonderful my life is. She has a wonderful man in her life. I just saw her this year. She is the president of the Florida Court Reporters Association. And we chatted, and she said something interesting to me. She said, you know, when you gave that talk the first time, and I thought about leaving my husband, my problem was that I am a Christian. I am a devout, true Christian. We do not believe in divorce. What I did was, I prayed to God, and I said to God, dear God, please give me a sign. Let me know what I should do with my life. She returned from the weekend that she had spent at our workshop, and she found out that her husband was sleeping with another woman. She rejoiced. She said, thank you, God. I've got my sign. And that's what gave her the power to file for divorce. I can't answer for anyone else what's right for you, or what you should do, or can do, or need to do, or whatever. And I would never tell anybody to do this or that. It's all about you making your own choices. But I have to tell you, I have a warm heart, and I'm thrilled that she's got such a fabulous life. And I want to see every single one of you have a fabulous life. So it's just a little food for thought. That's all. By the way, I've been divorced twice. And I'm very best friends with my first husband and his wife. They've been married 31 years. And we hang out with them all the time. And they are the ones, they are our go-to people if anybody's in an emergency. And when Jim had his stroke at 5:30 in the morning, my ex-husband is the one I called. They were there within 20 minutes and handled what needed to get handled. And my second husband is a dear, sweet, lovely human being. He lives in Canada. And we've had lunch with him several times. We have a great relationship. I happen to have great relationships with both of my exes. And I just don't understand the ugliness that people go through. If you loved somebody at one point, they've got to have something good about them, something somewhere. Well, why would you marry somebody who's 100% horrible? Obviously, that's not the way it is.
Have you ever reported in divorce court?
Have I ever reported in divorce court? Yes, I have, and I don't like it, and I don't do it. And I can't stand family court either. You know, give me a good mayhem murder, I don't care. But I can't handle bickering and arguing. And I'll tell you why. I had 2 children. I raised them alone. And they were impossible teenagers. And it was a very uncomfortable, unpleasant experience. And I lived to tell, which is good, because I have 2 fabulous adult children. They're in their 40s. My little baby boy is 44 and my daughter is 47. And they are such lovely human beings. They are great members of society. I'm very, very proud of them. I love them both dearly. So there is life after teenagers. But yes, I have. And I'm not saying that some people aren't horrible. For one thing, there's mental illness. And for another thing, there is ugly abuse. You see it on Dr. Phil a lot. And what can be done about that? And I'm not going to get into that. I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not going to share with you right now my personal take on some of these things. I will tell you one thing. What are you contributing? It took me a lot of years to ask myself that question. What did I contribute to my teenagers' lives that made it less pleasant? And I found a lot of answers. What could I have done to diffuse the situation? There are answers. But did I know them at the time? No. Was I aware at the time? No. Anyway, not to get too far afield, but I do hear you. And there are times when you must get away. Sometimes it's your life and death, you know. Some people are stalked, and etc. Look what some movie stars go through. It's terrible, just terrible. But anyway, so if you've ever visited third world countries, that is another interesting experience. We have 5 more minutes. Are there any questions or comments? Is there anything on anybody's mind? Either something you'd like to share, or do you have any questions that you'd like to walk away with before we end our time together?
Well, I just want you to know that this is the best
I agree.
I have ever had in one of these things.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
so
The comment was this was the best seminar she's had, sitting in one of these seats. And I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Just remember, it's all about you and you taking this information and moving forward, because we live with so much. But you know something? People's lives have changed, not only in the court reporting world. We know this, but we forget. Would you like your kid to be a doctor tomorrow? With all the HIPAA laws, with all the paperwork they fill out, with all of the insurance problems, with all of the liability? What about the Joan Rivers doctor who was in the surgery room? I don't know what she did. I don't know the details, but she's resigned. What's happened to her life? And was she a precious, wonderful, good human being? My educated guess is yes, because that was her personal doctor for a long time. What happens to people in different walks of life in different careers? Yes, we have our challenges. Yes, we have our struggles. But I'm telling you, there is so much good we can do. I started to talk about a mastermind group. Think and Grow Rich explains it all. Are you connected with 2 or 3 or 4 people you admire, where you can bring brilliance to the table? They don't have to be court reporters. Maybe one of them is a teacher. Maybe another one is a business owner, or whatever it is. Do you ever get together with people who are like-minded, people who are great and smart or brilliant in one area and another? You can share, you can help each other grow your businesses, help each other grow relationships, or do whatever. It's incredible, the synergy. We know that when 1 and 1 isn't 2, 1 and 1 is 10,000. Look into it, get that book. Let me make sure I've covered a couple of books that are always on my mind. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Oh, I got so many books. Drive by Daniel Pink. Of course, Jack Canfield, Jim Rohn. A lot of those people, they're just wonderful to read and to listen to. Oh, I know I've got more. Let me think. Oh, well. Anybody? Anybody want to share a favorite book? Or a favorite?
Claude Bristol.
Who?
Claude Bristol.
Claude Bristol. C-L-A-U-D-E, and then B-R-I-S-T-O-L. Wonderful. Claude Bristol. I want to write that down and learn more about Claude Bristol. Anybody else? Another favorite? Well, I want to thank you so much. You've been a phenomenal audience. I see that we have food brought in. This is great. You'll be able to eat. We're going to keep it a little bit, well, Jeff already explained the timing for today. Thank you. See me anytime. Email me anytime. You've all got my email address and information. You will hear from me. And thank you all. I love you. Wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Well, there you go. You're done. How easy was that? I hope you had a great time taking this program. Now you have a few more CEUs to add to your CEU bucket there. Now remember, if you're taking one of our longer courses, please wait until you finish all the seminars before you send us your answers. And please try to, if you're going to put them in an email, copy them in one straight vertical line, separated by the different course titles. And that makes it easy for me to grade, makes it go a lot faster, and I don't make any mistakes. Well, not so much. Okay. And also, you can scan them in order and send them to me as well. Remember, we're always putting new content up here. Every year, we will have at least 4 to 10 more hours worth of CEUs that you can get here from the comfort of your home. So if you know more court reporters that would like to get their credits that way, please let them know about it. And remember, your home for CEUs online, Jeff Justice Seminars, where you can get your CEUs online anytime.